Just give me the cue. Hello, everybody. Welcome to AT&T Stadium here in Arlington, Texas. It's once again time for the 2019 Blue-Gray All-American Bowl. Pleased to be with you today. Ryan Castle alongside Sheldon Jackson and the entire Impact Football Network crew. Another matchup between the East and the West here in the 2019 Blue-Gray All-American Bowl. Mark McMillan on the west side facing his former Crimson Tide teammate George Teague from the East. And so should be a good matchup. We've got a lot of good talent to tell you about as the East team gets ready to come out of the huddle. Sean Siglinski getting them all set to go. And Sheldon, this should be a good game. We've got a lot of talent to highlight throughout our broadcast on both sides.
Definitely. We got some good, strong running backs on that West squad. Your Seth Davis looks to stand out really good during practice. Alex Langtree was considered by one of the coaches to be very positive, very good, strong running back. I think that the East team looks very competent as well with their offensive line as well as their defensive line. So I think this should be a very strong running game today.
And in the passing attack, we'll look to the east side with Sean Sims, quarterback out of South Oak Cliff, right here in the Dallas area in Texas. And he is committed to play at the Naval Academy next year. He'll go to play for Navy, 6'2", 215 pounds. And then they've also got Velton Gardner from Dallas Skyline right here in the Metroplex. And he was at one time committed to Texas Tech, being looked at now by several other schools in the Big 12. And so the quarterback play will certainly be something to keep an eye on for the east side.
Make no mistake about it, he's going to have a very good group of wide receivers to throw to. Look for Kamari Anderson-Drew, a 6'3", 190-pound receiver from Concordia Lutheran High School at Indiana. And South Houston's got a representative out here, Ian Butler, 6'1", 198 pounds, right here out of Texas. I think he's going to have a bunch of targets to throw to. Let's hope that offensive line will give him plenty of protection to get the ball out of his hand.
So here comes the East team. They will be coached today by George Teague, several former NFL veterans on their coaching staff as well, including former Seahawks quarterback Seneca Wallace, former Texans running back Chris Taylor, and several of the key fixtures on the Blue-Gray football staff, including Al McCauley and Dick Bell, who, of course, is the brother of Gus Bell, who heads up all of this for Blue-Gray football. It's an early morning here at AT&T Stadium, so you see the sunshine glaring through the windows here at Jerry World, and that will become, I would expect, to be a little bit of a factor in today's game. On the gray side, or for the West team, their quarterback, one of them is going to be Keegan Shoemaker. He is committed to play at FCS Lafayette College out of the Patriot League, and he's going to have one of the better receiving talents in all four of the games for Blue-Gray this year in TQ Jackson, who is going to Arkansas.
Yeah, TQ Jackson had a really good practice over these last couple of days, and we've talked this many times before, Ryan, how with a all-star game like this with two practices, it's very difficult for an offense to click with a bunch of different egos and what have you. New offensive coordinator, and I think this is inaugural recruiting coordinating for Rodney Beasley. This is his first time getting a chance to call the plays. So when you got all those different factors playing into it, it's very difficult to find that chemistry offensively. But it is football. It's really simple. It's all about running and hitting. So these kids know how to do it. The coaches know how to do it, so they know how to teach the details of the game. So we're going to have a good game no matter what.
And Mark McMillan, the head coach for the West, former NFL defensive back, all-pro with the Eagles, and also played with the Chiefs. And as you mentioned, Rodney Beasley, the offensive coordinator, NFL veteran trainer with the Carolina Panthers. And you've got George Martinez, the defensive coordinator for the West. He has been a head coach or an assistant coach 41 years. And we'll pause a moment now for the national anthem. All right, there's the national anthem here inside AT&T Stadium. These teams have practiced 3 hours over each of the last 2 days at South Grand Prairie High School, just a couple of miles away from AT&T Stadium. And so, you know, we've highlighted a lot of the big names in this game, Sheldon, but really where this game shines are the guys that really nobody has heard about or nobody is talking about in recruiting. And this is a great opportunity, as it always is, for these class of 2019 kids to come out and make a name for themselves in a game like this and get on the radar of these college coaches, not only at the Division I level, but at Division II, Division III, NAIA, junior college level. These spots, these scholarship spots, have to be filled by somebody, and there's no reason it can't be someone from either side here today.
That's completely right, Ryan. You hit the nail right on the head. This is an opportunity for kids who don't get noticed, who haven't been noticed, who want to continue their careers, who want to continue to play football at the next level, and hopefully with a little effort and some sacrifice, hopefully, you know, get that scholarship. Like you mentioned, there are tons of scholarships available. They have to be filled, and why not these kids? Why not this one student here? They understand that it's not guaranteed. The game's not going to last forever. It's going to pass you by at some point, but at this point in your life, you can play. So you need to go out there and give it everything you have, because you just don't know who's in the stands. You know your parents are there. You know your coaches are on the sideline, but you don't know what other college coaches or what other college recruiters are watching the game. So you got to give it everything you got.
The West has won the toss. They defer their option to the second half, and so it will be George Teague's team with the football first. And we'll see this offense that we talked about with Sean Sims and Velton Gardner as quarterbacks. Their third quarterback is Grant Johnston from Blacksburg High School in Virginia. So we'll see those three guys in and out of the lineup here today for George Teague and the East. And, you know, going back to what you were just talking about, Sheldon, I think it's a great point and something that has kind of become the culture of this blue-gray team when you talk to coaches and talk to players and parents, is that football is not something that lasts forever. And so if these kids can use football as a vehicle to get their education, that will set them up for life. And that's one of the messages I know that Gus Bell certainly preaches and lives by. And that's why he obviously created this game and has made it into what it has become.
It is a means to an end. Because it doesn't last very long, because that window of opportunity is such a very small window, you got to take the opportunities that are given to you. And clearly these parents are bought in. They've made tremendous sacrifice to be here and traveled great distances to be here. And so it's all about these kids and giving them an opportunity just to extend that opportunity, if you will, to get noticed by some schools somewhere so they can get their educations paid for.
So for the West, it will be number 3 Chandler Coffrin to kick off out of Evangelical Christian High School in Tennessee. And Dontavius Campbell back deep to return for the East. And the kickoff is going to be short. It's going to land at about the 15-yard line, hop up into the air, and here comes the return right up the middle and a good burst across the 40. Nice return by the East to get us going here today. That looked like Jimmy Pitts out of Notasulga High School in Alabama with a good return off the one-hopper kickoff. And the East will start with the ball at their own 41-yard line. And we're going to see as the signal caller first, Velton Gardner, who at one time was committed to Texas Tech. Of course, the Red Raiders went through a coaching change here recently with the firing of Cliff Kingsbury and the hiring of Matt Adams from Utah State. And Gardner is no longer committed to Texas Tech, but is still being looked at pretty heavily by some schools in the Big 12. And he's going to hand off on first down. Not much is there. And that's going to be dropped for about no gain back to the 40-yard line.
Look for number 42. Good tackle, good hit. John Quarius Hatton, Delta Charter High School, Louisiana. Linebacker at 5'11", 210 pounds. May not be the tallest linebacker on the field, but definitely a strong player and a good candidate for some scholarships in this future.
Julius Elders got the carry there on first down and might have lost half of a yard back to the 40-yard line. You're going to see both teams huddle up today. As I mentioned, only 3 hours each of the last 2 days to install plays.
You're going to get some generic plays. I mean, for the most part, they're not going to get too exotic. Maybe a couple trick plays here and there because it is an all-star game. But for the most part, they're going to be straightforward.
Gardner's going to hand off, and look at this. Great run once again by Elders, this time with some room. and delivers a couple of blows at the tail end of the run is going to get a first down for the East into West territory.
And that's definitely what you don't want to do on defense. If you're trying to get someone's attention, is miss a tackle, a wide open tackle. But credit number 22, Darius Lutu McMore out of Samoana High School, Hawaii. I think by far the longest distance traveled.
Yeah, certainly to this game. Now in Houston, we had another player from Hawaii. So the blue-gray brand is making its way across the United States, not just continentally, but also across seas. As there's been a couple of players now from Hawaii playing these games. That game in Houston was an interesting format. Team Lone Star, teams made up of just Texas players, against Team 49, which was kind of the rest of the country. And a delay of game penalty here is going to go against the East. That'll move them back 5 yards. It'll be 1st and 15 from their own 49-yard line.
Again, speaking to that chemistry with the offense, it's very difficult to get an offense, a power offense together with such few practices.
So Gardner will be in the shotgun. He's going to roll to his left, now back to his right as the pressure comes, and he's got some room to run. He hits the sideline at the 30 with one guy to beat to the 20. Inside move to the 10, a stiff arm at the 5, and Belton Gardner just went 51 yards, an electrifying run for a East touchdown.
That is not good for the West. That is not how you start off an all-star game like that. I will say that being able to see things that you're not able to see at home, there was a good holding call, a non-call of the right tackle with that left defensive end at that last play, which opened that sideline up for the running back. But again, referees didn't see it, and sometimes that's how the game is.
So Tristan Vandenberg from Canisius High School in New York State will try for the extra point out of the hold of Noah Grant, the punter. And yeah, there was some questionable defense there from the West, but give Gardner some credit. That was a great run. And the extra point is no good. It's pushed to the left, and so the East will have to settle for a 6-0 lead. 13:54 remaining here in the first quarter. And another thing we always like to mention here at these Blue-Gray All-American Bowls are the 16-minute quarters. That was the idea of Gus Bell, and that was for no other reason than just to get these kids more reps, more opportunities to show what they have for college coaches. Certainly several thousand of them watching our broadcast on tape delay, and that's just a great idea and sort of a no-brainer to get these kids as much exposure as they possibly can get.
Definitely, with so many kids coming from so many different areas, it's very hard to get everybody in and get the equal amount of time. It's just that it doesn't work that way. So by adding a little more time in the quarters, of course, you get more reps, more exposure, more opportunities, and that's what it's all about. You're going to hear us reiterate that theme throughout the broadcast. More opportunities, and more opportunities.
So now the East will kick off after the Velton Gardner touchdown to make the score 6-0 East here early in this one. And sometimes in these all-star games and the All-American Bowls, it takes the offenses, at least a quarter to sort of get going, get their feet underneath them. But Velton Gardner leading his team on their very, very first drive to a touchdown.
Clearly not the problem for the East today.
So here comes the kickoff from Vandenberg, who just missed the extra point. And here he boots it 8 yards deep in the end zone for a touchback. Vandenberg, a product of Cole's Kicking. All 4 of the kickers, both punters and both long snappers, all from that organization, which has produced a lot of Division I kickers, punters, and long snappers over the years. That's a great partnership between Cole's Kicking and Blue-Gray football. And something interesting about these games that we'll be able to tell you sort of as the broadcast progresses about the numbers that all of the punters and kickers wear, and there's a special story that goes along with that. And here we'll see the West. Nate Hayden, the Western Illinois commit, will start at quarterback for Coach George Teague's team, and he hands off on first down and not much up the middle. Maybe a half of a yard on the carry.
You can credit number 94, B.J. Scarlett, the 6'2", 240-pound lineman out of Corumdale Academy right here in Flower Mound, Texas.
I believe that might have been T.J. McDaniel on the carry. He's from South Lake Carroll High School and is going to play at SMU. Oakley Rossler is in there running back right now, and Hayden is going to throw across the middle, incomplete, intended for Braylon Washington from Thomasville High School in Alabama. This is going to set up a quick third down here for the West. Third down and about 9 to go. So Nate Hayden, 6'2", 198. Played at Dallas Christian High School right here in the Metroplex in Texas. He's in the pistol with Rossler behind him. Rossler is from McDonald County High School in Missouri. Hayden will go back to throw. Lobs one down the right sideline. Nice deflection and a pass breakup there on the back end by the East. And that was Trey Vavel, the defensive back from Blue Springs South High School, Missouri, with that great coverage and the pass breakup to set up fourth down.
Very good defensive play. You couldn't have ran it any better. You couldn't have covered him any better.
So coming on to punt for the West will be Elijah Perez from Chiawana High School in Washington State, 5'10", 185 pounds. And two returners back deep for the East. That'll be Dontavius Campbell to the far side, Jimmy Pitts to the near side. High end over end punt, and that actually hits somebody for the West. It will bounce in favor of the East. It'll be killed at about the 44-yard line, so short punt for the West. The East ahead 6-0, 12:55 left here in the first quarter, and so far it's been all smiles for Coach Mark McMillan and his team. Or for Coach
Teague.
George Teague, yes. George Teague and the East team.
But clearly we know this was so much game to play. Anything could happen. We're just getting warmed up.
So we'll see if we have a change at quarterback here on the second series for the East. And we will. It will be Grant Johnston from Blacksburg High School in Virginia. He passes the eye test, Sheldon, 6'4", 215. And he'll roll to his right on first down, looking to throw downfield. Flips one sidearm to an open receiver, and that is caught inbounds at around the 20-yard line. Nice catch made by Ian Butler from South Houston High School here in Texas. And Butler with some good footwork to stay in bounds and make the catch.
Good job on the defense, just making sure he gets out of bounds. Ray Vaughn Wilkins, 6 foot even, 210 pounds, out of Del Sol Academy High School in Nevada.
But you gotta like the throw there from Johnston on the run, able to find an open Butler along the sideline. And
Real good
the East
accuracy.
has it first down at the West 20-yard line, up 6-0. Might have been a false start up front, and here comes the penalty flag. This will go against the East. And that's to be expected once again in these All-American Bowls with limited practice time. Getting the cadence down and the snap count is not always an easy thing to do.
At that first practice, the West was kind of teeter-tottering whether or not to go with a silent count. Some of the running backs couldn't see the silent count, the way the formations were set up. You have to work all those details out. So like you said, the offense may take a while to get clicking, but if they have success like they had that last series and the defense doesn't come up to play and start missing these tackles, this could be a one-sided ball game.
Johnston will come under center. He'll pitch left. Makai Stanley on the carry. And that's played pretty well defensively by the West. Stanley is going to lose some yardage here. That was a 1st and 15 snap. He loses 2 more. It'll be 2nd and 17 coming up.
The linebacker on that play, number 4, Nicholas Segal, he definitely sniffed that one out and completely saw the play coming. 5'11", 184 pounds at University High School out of the state of Colorado. Not the biggest linebacker we've ever seen play the game, but if he keeps playing like that, size does not matter.
That's what you'll see a lot in this game, especially from the kids who maybe don't necessarily have all the offers, is that, size is the biggest issue perhaps holding them back from being recruited heavily, but a lot of the times a game like this can help them in that regard. And specifically we were talking downstairs with Noel Scarlett, former New England Patriot, among other teams in the NFL. BJ Scarlett is his son. We'll see him defensively for the East. And right now he's at about 240, but taking a look at him, he could put on 30 pounds or so and really be a force as a defensive end. And that's really a true story for a lot of these kids in this game.
That's what blows my mind when coaches tell kids you're too small, if you're a little more weight, or if you're a little taller, this and that. That doesn't make any sense to me. If your program is worth its weight it should be able to build up any kid that comes into your program.
Here's a nice screen play. The East gets some good blocking and a touchdown on a screen pass. Marcus Robinson Jenkins, touchdown East. And they have scored on each of their first 2 possessions.
Grabbing Gardner right
Chris
now.
Taylor, the running backs coach for the East, down to give a little chest bump to Marcus Robinson Jenkins, who scored for the East on a nice screen play on 3rd down and 17. What a great play there by the East. Sort of a conservative play call on 3rd and 17, maybe just hoping to get a few extra yards, making an easier field goal, but the West again struggling to make some tackles in the open field. Give credit to the East on the blocking, and the extra point this time by Vandenberg is up and good, and so the East with a 13-0 lead. Not even 5 minutes gone by here in the first quarter.
You said it right, Ryan. It was a basic screen play. Like I told you earlier, they're going to run some generic stuff, but the great job of the East team getting on their blocks. There wasn't a man untouched on the West squad, and by that time the running back had a full head of steam and was able to get in the end zone.
Do you need me somewhere else?
So the East will kick off once again to the West. We've already seen Vandenberg boot one out of the back of the end zone. We'll see if he's able to do it again here. And the West with 3 returners back deep. They're all standing at about the 3-yard line, but Vandenberg booted it about 11 yards further back from where they're standing on his first kickoff. 13-0 East. Have a touchdown run from Velton Gardner, the quarterback, and then a screen pass for a touchdown to Marcus Robinson Jenkins. And here's the kickoff by Vandenberg. This will be returnable from the goal line. Here he comes out to the 10-15, trying to make some guys miss. This is TQ Jackson, who we highlighted at the top of our telecast from an Arkansas commit. And we're going to say hello to the 3rd member of our broadcast team for the first time, Mercedes Owens, who's down on the field with Velton Gardner.
Yeah, hey guys, we got Velton Gardner, and only right that the Dallas local scores the first touchdown of the game. How'd that feel?
Pretty good coming out here, executing, and it's a relief getting the first score.
So is it your first time playing at AT&T Stadium?
No, ma'am.
Okay, that's why you got the first touchdown. You're like, I've been here before. You have to show everyone what's up.
Yeah, something like that.
Now talk about your prospects coming up. You were once committed to Texas Tech. Coaching changed there, so things have switched up for you. Where are you looking now?
Texas Tech is still in the race. It's just me getting the feel for the new coaching staff, and Kansas coming on strong, and U of H also. So just weighing out my options right now.
All solid options for sure to go from AT&T Stadium to one of those programs is going to be a good move.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, good luck out there, you guys. East team killing it already. Thanks, Elton.
Thank you.
All right, Mercedes, thanks very much. Very respectful young man down there, Velton Gardner, and a good football player from right here in the Metroplex, played at Skyline High School, who over the last decade or so has had a lot of success in high school football. And now the West trying to respond. At quarterback, they have Keegan Shoemaker out of Prosper High School in the game for the first time. He flips one to the far sideline, incomplete, intended for Justin Knudsen. And it's going to be 3rd down and long coming up again for the West here.
He might have time to get out of that pocket and get some positive yards. That line is fighting as hard and as long as they can. He had time to throw, but he's not getting any receivers open.
Shoemaker had a good year for the Prosper Eagles, who played their first season as a 6A program here in Texas. That's the highest classification that we have in the state. And they really surprised a lot of people behind his play at quarterback. And he'll be in the pistol here on 3rd down and about 13. Back to throw with some protection. Now the pressure comes. He steps up in the pocket, fires downfield. Man open. It's caught. First down, Jacob Walker with a catch into East territory, and some breakdown on the back end from the East allows Walker to get free, and a good job by Shoemaker to find him for a big conversion.
Tavarian Martin Scott absolutely pummeled that left tackle, and I'm surprised he didn't get a sack on that play. I mean, he ran over the left tackle as if he was not even there. That's the left defensive end as we're facing the defense.
So A 37-yard completion there by Shoemaker to Jacob Walker.
And
First
he did it
down, quick
again.
out to the left, incomplete. Intended for Seth Davis from El Dorado High School in Texas. And it'll be second down and 10. We're in the first quarter here at AT&T Stadium. This is the fourth and final Blue-Gray All-American Bowl for the class of 2019. We were here in Arlington back in December. Remember, Sheldon, that was a great game.
Yes, it was.
It was a great second half comeback in that one. The West, under Coach Mark McMillan, coming back and winning that ball game late. Here's Shoemaker in the pistol. Running back behind him. The handoff comes to Seth Davis. And Davis will slip past the line into the second level. Picks up about 3 there on second down. And it will be third down coming up here for the West.
The East has definitely established himself dominance in that front four. And a couple plays previously, Isaiah Turner got in there and actually got a hit on the quarterback and put him on the ground. The ball was released in enough time, but the East is definitely putting their ears back right now. The West has got to answer.
So Shoemaker will go back to throw, third down and 8, and he's going to go deep in front of the West bench, incomplete. Led the receiver out of bounds, and some contact as the ball arrived there, and some talking back and forth between the receiver and the defensive back. Back in coverage was Trey Vavel, who we mentioned earlier, with a nice pass breakup. And I believe that was Darren Ritwage maybe, who was
Ritwage.
Ritwage, the intended receiver. Incomplete, sets up fourth down, and so the West will punt.
No, he covered that one good. That was a good no call by the official. I mean, he looked back for the ball the same way the receiver did. The defensive back. That was good textbook defense right there. I saw the running backs coach, Larry Centers, out there arguing with the official, trying to get the play, the call to go for the West team, but the official wasn't having it.
Larry Centers, former fullback with the Cardinals and Patriots, coaching running backs here for the West. They've got a star-studded coaching staff down there with the likes of Mark McMillan, as we mentioned earlier, former All-Pro defensive back for the Eagles. Played 9 years in the National Football League. Here's the punt by Perez. It'll bounce, roll to about the 10, and then it is covered up there by Kamari Anderson-Drew, who was back to return for the East. Actually, I beg your pardon, it's Jimmy Pitts. Jimmy Pitts who covered that punt. And so the East will take back over here, Sheldon. They've been in control for the first half of this first quarter, 8:33 left, and they're up by 13.
I hope Coach Martinez did rile those boys up on the defense. Something, get a fire underneath their backsides, because they cannot continue to give this up like the East has been running down and dominating them right now. They got to get penetration. They got to get linebackers filling gaps, and they got to cover these receivers. They got to get to the ball, got to get to the quarterback.
So we'll get our first look at Sean Sims, headed to the United States Naval Academy. Looking for somebody to hand off to on first down. Cameron Young is in at running back. Instead, it is Sims who tries to get back to the line of scrimmage and gains maybe half of a yard. It'll be second down. So Sims played his high school football for South Oak Cliff. The Golden Bears 3 rounds deep in the Texas high school football playoffs this year. A storied program in Dallas proper.
Credit Sebastian, number 80, Sebastian Morrissey, for that tackle. 6'2", 185 out of Winfield High School, Kansas.
So Sims in the shotgun, second down and about 9. And the handoff to Young behind left guard. Now turns right with some room. He's at the 25 and reaching for the 30-yard line. Brought down on the play by
number 18, Hardery Andrews, Valley Vista High School in Arizona.
What a good run by Cameron Young. Gets a first down for the East to move the chains.
Too much. The offensive line for the East is doing a great job. They're doing exactly the same thing the West offensive line is not doing, and that's getting push up the front. Before anyone is touching the running back, he's 5 yards into the defensive backfield. So that's a bad recipe for the West, good for the East.
2 running backs for the East. Sims is going to throw, flings one downfield, incomplete. Looking for the running back out of the backfield, Marcus Davis from North Cobb High School in Georgia. 5'10", 180, and some good coverage back there by your guy from Samanoa, Hawaii, Darius Lutu McMore.
Real good young man, real nice, well-spoken. The family's really supportive. And all these parents are supportive. Clearly, they're here. So that was good to see him have a good play.
Yeah, that's sort of the culture there in Hawaii, and it's a great culture indeed. You hear stories about Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Here's a fumble on the play, and the West believes they've recovered, and they have. It'll be West football.
That's what they needed.
Cameron Young puts it on the turf, and the West gets the first takeaway of the game. They'll have the ball at the East 30-yard line.
Looks like number 74, Hunter Paxton. It's a big, nice-sized kid at 6'3", 225 pounds, a Sterling High School, Colorado. Credits for causing the fumble.
So that's a big play. Could get the West back in this one. 7:09 left in the first quarter. They're down by 13. And in at quarterback will be Nicholas McCarthy out of Legacy High School in Colorado.
I think this is the series that gets the West on the board.
He'll turn, he'll hand it off to TJ McDaniel, and McDaniel's hit immediately and dropped in the backfield. Hayden Tunnel from Brownwood High School here in Texas. Strong tradition there at Brownwood High School for the Lions, and Tunnel in to make the hit early on TJ McDaniel.
Tunnel had a really good practice as well. He was one of those standouts. You knew he was ready to hit. Maybe before the game, he's got this face paint on, looking like the old Ultimate Warrior. Remember that wrestler?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he looked like he's ready to go.
Yeah, I saw that down on the field with you before the kickoff. He looked intimidating for sure, and this is a hit and a sack on the quarterback. McCarthy goes down in the arms of the aforementioned B.J. Scarlett, 6'2", 240 from Coram Deo Academy in Flower Mound, Texas, and he got to the quarterback in a hurry.
Now, this old line's going to have a battle with that young man. They better hit him and hit him hard and hit him often, because he fought right through it. Looked like a double team block between the center and the guard, and was able to get there and make the sack.
He had 96 tackles this year for Coram Deo Academy, along with 11 sacks this year. And he is a sack artist. He's got his hand on the ground here in the middle of that defensive line. 3rd down and long for the West. McCarthy's throwing, has a man open, incomplete. Overshooting William Bobrick Davenport from Coronado High School in Colorado, so they were trying to make a Colorado connection there. Incomplete pass is going to set up 4th down and long for the West, and unfortunately, Sheldon, they're unable to take advantage of the takeaway.
Usually I'm good when I'm calling them. Today I'm 0 for 1. But that left guard that's got the biggest battle today against Mr. Scarlett is the number 56, Dustin Burgett from Lyons Decatur High School in Nebraska.
Here in just a moment, we'll send it downstairs to Mercedes. Right now, Elijah Paris is getting ready to punt. Takes a good snap and gets away a high spiraling kick. Jimmy Pitts over to call for a fair catch and falls to a knee to make one at about the 16-yard line. So the East will have the ball back, and right now Mercedes is downstairs with TQ Jackson.
That's right, and you know what? TQ actually told me what the TQ stands for, but it's between he and I now. So it's a big secret. We're best friends. Everyone else is left out. Headed to Arkansas. You're going to be a Razorback. How excited are you for that experience?
Really excited because, actually, when I first started playing football, I always want to go to the SEC, and, here it is. It's happening.
It's crazy, and now you're at AT&T Stadium. Is this something you could get used to?
Oh, I can get real good used to it, Feel like home, really. Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me about this blue-gray experience. All in all, how has it been? Do you know anyone else on the team? Has it just been a whirlwind? Do you know what's going on right now?
Yes, ma'am. I know of a couple guys. They're from the DFW area. Like, I'm from East Texas, so I know of them. But it's actually been a great experience. I'm learning stuff from the wide receiver coach, and it's just a great vibe all around.
Talk about something you're taking away from this experience. You talked about how you're learning things, but what's your biggest takeaway so far?
My biggest takeaway is just learning how to, cope with other people that I've never been around before,
I think the Razorback coaching staff would be glad to hear that. TQ, best of luck to you. Thanks so much for chatting with us. Thanks, guys.
All right, Mercedes, TQ Jackson is going to play in this stadium again when Arkansas plays Texas A&M right here at AT&T Stadium. Long throw down the near sideline, incomplete. Some contact in the secondary. The intended receiver, Joseph Carboni, was being held on to pretty tightly there by the defensive back, Hadari Andrews, who you mentioned earlier, Sheldon, but no call, and Mark McMillan, well, not pleased.
Well,
George Teague, I beg your pardon.
That entire East Coast bench left the sideline and wanted to help that official find his flag. And clearly it was because the jersey that was normally tucked into the receiver was pulled out. So, I mean, it was obvious that it was a penalty, but clearly not to the official.
It's been a bit of controversy over non-called pass interference penalties over the last week or so.
You don't say.
Seem to have heard something about that in the news. Felton Gardner is the one that unleashed that pass. He's in at quarterback right now and back to throw for the East with a lot of time. He's got all day and now will run it himself. Look at that crack back block to spur him for a first down across the 35-yard line. That was Julius Elders, the running back, who went back to make the block. And a great play there to give Gardner the room for a first down for the East.
He's electrifying. I mean, if he doesn't have the receivers that he needs to be open, he's ready to get down the field and make something happen for himself and get his team some positive yards. Who do we have down on the play?
Yeah, somebody over here on the near sideline. And so the stoppage in play to check on that. 4:19 left here in the first quarter. The East with the ball and a 13-0 lead.
It's a West player we have on the field.
Right now laying on his back at about the 40-yard line. As you can see, he's going to be pulled to his feet, it looks like. That might be Andrews, the defensive back.
It is. Hardery.
He is now off of his back and sitting up. They're sort of talking to him, checking on him. Now he's going to be pulled to his feet. You hear the applause from the fans. And, well, does not necessarily look great for Hadari Andrews. He's going to limp back to the far side bench for the West. You never like to see that in a game like this, but certainly that is the reality of football, and we'll just continue to keep our eye on Hadari Andrews on whether or not he comes back into this game, and wish him all the best moving forward, certainly.
We have number 1 coming in his stead, Robert Vega. It's a 5'8", 150-pound defensive back from Desert Mountain High School in Arizona. And
so back to football, the East will have it first down at the 37-yard line. Leading 13-0. The air has kind of been sucked out of this stadium as we still await Hadari Andrews to walk back to the far sideline. He is walking relatively under his own power, but certainly is favoring, it appears, that left ankle. And so they will take a look at him over there. But they might even call on the services of Rod Beasley at some point and try to get him over there to look at him. And meanwhile, Gardner is going to come under center on 1st and 10. Going to toss right. Quick penetration into the backfield. Look at the job by the running back to escape that. And Caleb Gerber, who's headed to Air Force, with a good job to turn nothing into a little bit for the East. Gain of a couple.
Good job by Robert coming off the bench and getting in on the tackle. First play of scrimmage. Again, from Desert Mountain High School, Arizona.
They ran to his side on the first play, and he was up to the task. So 2nd down and about 8.
That's what I like about football. You're going to get tested every single play, especially when your competition is as good as you, if not better.
I think you mentioned this at the meet and greet on Saturday night at the Marriott Hotel. There's no hiding in football. You don't escape. You can't be put into the corner like you can in basketball. If you're the weak link, you're going to be found
immediately. I mean, you can hide on the sideline if you want to.
That sounds easy.
You can definitely hide on the sideline.
I think I could probably do that.
A couple of stories of some kids on my own team. We called their names, and they stood behind other players. So, yeah, you can hide on the sideline. But once you step on the gridiron, your weaknesses will be exposed, as well as your strengths. They'll be highlighted, but your weaknesses will definitely be exposed. Isn't that kind of like life, right?
Yeah, football mirrors the game of life so well. And here's a big 3rd down for the East, trying to keep this drive alive. Gardner, with some pressure, will try to run it. Now flips it to Gerber, incomplete. And he took a smack once again from Vega, who came in and made an immediate impact for the West. It'll be 4th down, and the East will punt for the first time in the game.
That's a great job. The quarterback rolled her out, trying to make something happen. The play obviously broken down. He's trying to make something happen with the running back that was there. Robert Vega standing in, coming in, and giving that quarterback really no options.
So Darren Ritwage will go back to return the punt from Noah Grant. Calls for a fair catch and makes one at the 16-yard line. And now a mental mistake by the East. I believe that was Gerber, the running back. Let's take a look and just double check. But a penalty is coming up here against the East. It's actually against Dontavius Campbell from Parkland High School here in Texas. Just got caught up with the return man Ritwage, and that's going to cost the East some field position here.
I'm not sure why he didn't see that. I mean, Ritwage was pretty clear with his fair catch call. I mean, he must have been running down the field with his eyes closed or something. How do you not see that? That doesn't look good, and that's not very favorable for the next level of coaching.
So this will give the West a nice little boost to start this drive. It'll be first down up at their own 31-yard line, nearing the 3-minute mark of this first quarter. Here at AT&T Stadium, glad to have you along with us. Ryan Castle, former NFL vet Sheldon Jackson. And for the West, Nate Hayden will be in at quarterback, the Western Illinois commit. And he will look to throw on first down. Swing pass out into the right flat, incomplete. That was a forward pass. Incomplete. Alex Langtree, the running back, the intended target. 2nd and 10 coming up. And right now the West keeping it pretty conservative on the play calling side. We haven't really seen them try to attack down the field much.
They need to attack that interior line. Right now they have to establish something inside the hash marks. They cannot keep throwing the ball to the sideline like this. They got to go up the middle.
Oakley Rossler, the running back behind Hayden in the pistol. 2nd and 10 from the 31. And Hayden will throw. Quick slant across the middle is caught. And the tackle made by Marcus Robinson Jenkins, I believe. And so that will be a gain of about 4. 3rd down and 6 coming up for the West.
You know, I haven't been in that first practice, and I was actually doing the offensive line coaching duties for that first practice. The play calling is good. It just needs to be executed. So we just need to see them execute this stuff between the tackles. There's lanes there that they just got to hit.
Hayden will go back to throw. Looks quick out to the right. That is caught. The tight end, Kobe Gross, who has an offer from Baylor, went on a visit to TCU recently. Going to be pushed out of bounds at around the 39-yard line. That's short of a first down, and so the West will have to punt for the 4th time here in the game. The East has 2 touchdowns here in the first quarter, a 51-yard run by Velton Gardner and a 24-yard touchdown pass from Grant Johnston to Marcus Robinson Jenkins on a screen pass. And now Elijah Perez will punt once again. Jimmy Pitts and Dontavius Campbell back to return. This will be Campbell backpedaling to the 21. Here he comes to the 25-yard line. Was able to get out of the first would-be arm tackle, but not the second, and he's brought down at about the 27-yard line. I mentioned earlier a story that involves the kickers and the punters in this game. A couple of years ago in the state of Wisconsin, there was a kicking seminar being held, and Sam Foltz, former punter at Nebraska, Mike Sadler, former punter at Michigan State, both tragically lost their lives in a car accident coming from that kicking camp. And the kickers and punters in this game wear the numbers of Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler, number 3 and number 27. That happens in all 4 of the Blue-Gray All-American Bowls as a nice tribute to the 2 men who lost their lives tragically in Wisconsin back in 2016, and certainly a nice gesture from Gus Bell and on the behalf of Cole's Kicking to have each kicker and punter wear the number 3 and number 27 in memory of Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler, tragically losing their lives in Wisconsin back in 2016. We like to get that story on the air as much as we possibly can. And on second down and short, I beg your pardon, for the East, in at quarterback Grant Johnston, and some movement up front on the East. We'll have penalty flags down, one in between the hash marks and another one over here on the near sideline, and that's going to be an offsides against the defense, actually, so that will give the East an automatic first down.
If they're able to get these guys jumping off sides, which seems like they're capable of doing, the momentum is definitely working towards the East side. So the defense has got to buckle down, and they got to get inside, and they got to fight these offensive linemen and get to the ball carrier.
So Johnston, who threw a touchdown pass earlier in the game, this time slings it out right. A completed pass to Kamari Anderson-Drew. And Anderson-Drew with a first down into East territory, brought down around the 45-yard line. He's from Concordia Lutheran High School up in Indiana. You highlighted him earlier. Big, tall target. Got the ball across the middle there for a first down.
Credit number 74, Hunter Paxton, for that tackle. The big D lineman that actually came down the field and tackled that gentleman back where the safety lines up. Good job by Hunter.
Anderson-Drew, a big receiver at 6'3", 190. Play fake here for Johnston. He'll run it himself and is going to walk out of bounds inside the 35-yard line. That's an 11-yard carry on the scramble from Grant Johnston and a first down for the East.
Everything they can call, anything they want to call right now, the East is able to run it. The defense for the West is looking a little undisciplined right now. Both the defensive end and the corner on that last play bought in on the fake boot. So they're a little out of their element right now. They're not comfortable. They're thinking too much defensively. They're not playing good ball.
You saw Johnston, just as he walked out of bounds, go over and talk to offensive coordinator Seneca Wallace, former backup quarterback for the Seahawks, got the play call. And now on first down, running for his life in the backfield, just throws it out incomplete. And the East may be fortunate to not get a holding call there. It looked like they might have had a grab of some of the West jersey. 2nd and 10 coming up.
Just a little bit. But that's been going on so far this entire first quarter. I guess they're not looking for those calls. Usually when you teach a defensive end to fight against that, if you're not trying to fight hard, if you're not really trying to resist an offensive lineman whose hands are on your chest, they're not going to give you a holding call. You've got to be actively trying to get away and fight against the holding. And
There's
if you're not,
quick throw to the right side, caught again by Anderson-Drew. And some good blocking at the point of attack will escort him inside the 30 to about the 29-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and medium coming up here for the East. We're under a minute now to play in the first quarter, 13-0. Coach George Teague's team is up, and that's not something we've said a lot over the years here in Arlington. It's been mostly Mark McMillan getting the better of his former Crimson Tide partner.
Especially during the first quarter. We'll credit that last tackle to number 22, Darius Ludo McMore out of Samoana High School, Hawaii.
Seneca Wallace, who we mentioned played for the Seahawks, was Matt Hasselbeck's backup there in the mid-2000s. When Seattle was playing very well, had Sean Alexander at running back, who led the league in rushing for a couple of years. Before the 3rd down snap, we have a false start here against the East. That's going to make it 3rd down and about 11 now, as they'll move the ball back to the 34-yard line. That's going to bring us to the end of the first quarter here at AT&T Stadium. The East with 2 touchdowns on their first 2 drives. No scoring after that, though. And after one, it's the East 13 and the West nothing here from AT&T Stadium. Thanks for being along with us today on the Impact Football Network. This is the 4th and final, as we mentioned, Blue-Gray All-American Bowls. We had the first one here back in December at AT&T Stadium. And then on January the 5th, we were at Raymond James Stadium. A North win that day, 20-12. And then just a couple of weeks ago in Houston on January the 14th, the first ever game played at NRG Stadium. And that's such a unique aspect of this game, Sheldon. I can think of no other All-American Bowl, not even the so-called big names of Under Armour and what for years was called the Army All-American Bowl. Those are not played in NFL stadiums. This is the one that I know of that's played on NFL grounds, and that's going to be a huge honor and a privilege certainly for these players.
Definitely. I wish I had an opportunity to play in a professional stadium when I was in high school, which did not happen. So it gives you an idea of what it's like. that you know that the football field that the pros play on is the same length and width that you play on at your high school. So it is bigger than life to a point, but if you take it in moderation, put in the hard work, this is where you could professionally play your sport.
So the East will now turn around and go from our right to our left. Grant Johnston in the shotgun, 3rd down and about 11. And he goes back to throw with all day. 7-step drop, looks to the right, throws to the right, and it's broken up. Intended on the play for Makai Stanley, but a nice hit right there at the point of attack by Dorian Black from Harker Heights High School in Texas. Incomplete pass sets up 4th down. Maybe a little bit of indecision there on the part of the quarterback, Johnston. And that's going to set up now a long field goal attempt by the East, Tristan Vandenberg. This is going to be a 51-yard attempt from the right hash. The snap, actually rushed the kick, and the kick is away, and it is good. He nailed it from 51. Tristan Vandenberg, out of the hold of Noah Grant, pumps one in. Here to start the second quarter, a 51-yard field goal is good.
Now, on that last play, I wish we can go back to the review or replay if we could. I think one of the defensive tackles, number 94, Deontay Washington from Vista Ridge High School out of Colorado. Actually, you said it. It wasn't necessarily a rush. It was just one guy beating another guy. And he beat that offensive guard to get to a position where he could make the block. The only thing is, he did. I guess for whatever in his mind, he didn't believe he could get it, and he stopped. He was back in the backfield, and if he had kept that motor running, he could have definitely blocked that ball because the trajectory came off low. But for whatever reason in his mind, he did not continue and finish the play. They scored 3 points on this one.
I'm not sure if they changed something from earlier games, but in Tampa and in Houston, the kicks were not being rushed. That time, certainly it was. And as you said, nearly blocked. But what an effort by Vandenberg, 51 yards, and had a yard or two to spare as he gives the East now a 16-0 lead just underway in the second quarter.
Yeah, you're right. You can't blitz and actually put in a block per se, but it is football. And if you got the ability to beat somebody and get back there and make a play, that's the kind of play you want to make.
And here is the kickoff, mishandled by the West and just covered up there by Jackson Samsel from University High School in Colorado. He's a linebacker and just able to fall back on it to give the West the ball. They'll start at around their 20-yard line.
The East is scoring at will, pretty much. So the West, even with the length of these quarters, they have plenty of time to make this a ball game. They have plenty of time to get it together and iron out the wrinkles, so to speak, for this offense. Let's see if they can get it together right here.
We'll see Keegan Shoemaker, who has the best play for the West so far, a long pass completion earlier to Jacob Walker. He fakes the handoff on first down, will keep it himself, and not a lot of running room to be found for Keegan Shoemaker. Tackled pretty immediately on the play by Morgan Rippey out of Mountain Ridge High School in Arizona, number 40. So a loss of a couple yards there for Shoemaker.
Some little cross direction. Not as successful. You still need to get a push up front to make a cross direction or some type of cross buck action in the backfield be effective. You still got to get that offensive lineman pushing up front.
Shoemaker this time will look to throw across the middle, man open, and the ball is caught for a first down, or very close to a first down. Now the ball comes out. I believe the whistle might have blown before the ball came out. And to add on to this, there's a penalty flag that was actually thrown by the referee way behind the play. So we've got a lot to sort out here on what was a 2nd down and 12.
Jacob Walker was the receiver from Mulvane High School here out of Kansas. Someone should remind that youngster it is a full contact sport. So just because the first person hit you doesn't mean someone else is not trying to hit you. And that's exactly what happened on that play. The first young man had him wrapped up and was driving him back while someone else came and hit him and the ball came loose. So one thing they teach you all the time, if you're going to be one of the players that handles the football, protect the football at all times.
That was an illegal hands to the face penalty against the East, so that gives the West the ball with pretty close to their best field position of the day. They have been on the East side once. Right now they're first down at their 45.
This might be the momentum that the West needed.
Shoemaker back to throw, and he's going to air one out deep in single coverage, incomplete. Nice breakup on the back end by the East. And that looked like Jaden Ivey, the defensive back from Lebanon High School in Missouri, broke up that pass at the very last moment. Second and 10.
Had him covered like a blanket.
But a good arm strength shown there by Shoemaker, who is going to Lafayette College in Pittsburgh, or in Pennsylvania, I should say.
They're taking chances. They're definitely taking chances on those sidelines. Let's see if we can attack the middle of the field just a little bit more.
He was looking again for Jacob Walker on that last throw. They'll hand off here, right up the middle, not much room. Spun down around the line of scrimmage is the running back Seth Davis from El Dorado High School, and now some extracurricular activity. And this game has been a little physical here early in this first half.
And that's what you want to see. As a coach, you want to see some fire in your guys' hearts and spirits out there, because this is not an easy game for one. It takes will. You got to want to be out there. I credit that last tackle was number 41, linebacker for the East, Braxton Ashabraner, 6'2", 235 pounds, out of Joe Burns High School, located in Tennessee.
I said this on Saturday at the meet and greet. This is not the NBA All-Star game. Guys are not coming out here jogging and just kind of playing around. They're coming out here to play.
Right.
Here's the
Holding.
3rd down and 9 play, and a long throw out to the left, incomplete. Intended on the play for TJ McDaniel, the running back. Shoemaker got the ball there, but McDaniel not able to turn around and make the catch. It's 4th down, and the West will have to punt again.
Goodness gracious. There's way too many holding calls going unlooked. Maybe they need to have a convention for officials to work on some of these calls, because that was clearly a takedown by the right guard, or the right tackle for the West team. So I don't know what to say. That's not good officiating right there.
Devontae Matthews was the defensive back who broke up the pass. And they say in football there's holding on every play. Apparently there's holding on no plays here today at AT&T Stadium, as the high end-over-end kick is fair caught by Dontavius Campbell, and the East will take back over. Just over 13 minutes left, second quarter, and the East ahead 16-0.
If I didn't see the defensive lineman on that particular play get jerked to the ground, and then I probably wouldn't have said anything. But that time it was clearly obvious. Well, again, obvious to me sitting up here in the area where I'm sitting, but not obvious to the official standing right there in front of it.
So for the East, in the blue jerseys, working from our right to our left, it'll be Sean Sims with his second series at quarterback, coming under center on first down. And he's going to turn and pitch it to the running back, who makes a nice cut back to his right. First down and more across the 40. This is Cameron Young with a good burst, and he's up near midfield. 29 yards for Cameron Young on the toss left, and a good turn back to his right as he made it into the second level.
Without number 4, Nicholas Segal, on that play, he's scoring a touchdown. Cameron is scoring on this last play.
Cameron out of Mill Valley High School in Kansas. That's actually the same high school as Chase Shyrock on the other side, number 19, a linebacker. So you might see those two come up against each other today. And now Sims will throw. Quick out to the left is caught. Reaching for a first down is Brandon Peace. Going to be brought down just short. Good open field tackle made on the play by Riley Tucker. And it's going to be second down and short coming up here for the East. Riley Tucker, as you see on your screen there, from Desert Mountain High School in Arizona. We've called that high school a couple of times today. And the word is spreading. This is the 5th year of the blue-gray football. Might actually be year 6. It started back in 2013. And a penalty here will come against the East. It'll be a false start. Now, both teams have struggled just a bit with procedure penalties prior to the snap.
Which is to be expected. We have a bunch of students from different schools, different coaching techniques, different terminologies. And now you come here, you get 6 hours of total practice time with a brand new line of coaches with different terminology. So that penalties are to be expected.
And I found that being at practice, that's really the toughest part is the terminology. And it's still football. A curl's a curl, a drag's a drag, a counter is a counter, but everybody calls those things differently. Marcus Davis with the catch on the pass from Sims. That'll be good enough for a first down as East moves it further into West territory.
Seth Davis on the tackle, representing El Dorado High School out of Texas.
And you're right, with the shortened practice time, getting that terminology down, and you know, a lot of players are used to having wristbands on their wrist they can just go to for quick reference. You don't see that a lot in these All-American Bowls. There's a fumble on the play. Sims on the exchange with Young coughed it up. And I believe the East was able to recover that. Sims able to hop right back on it with a little bit of a heads-up play. And that's another thing that you'll see quite often in these games is some miscommunication on the mesh point delivery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all about that timing. I mean, it's just practice. And we can't really say it enough times. If you see some bobbleheads or some miscommunications or some things like that, it's all about the lack of practice.
So Sims once again in the shotgun, second down and about 11. Will roll to his left, and as he's running, throws the ball incomplete, broken up nicely by Riley Tucker. And Tucker, if he's able to get his right hand on that ball, might have a pick. As Sims did not see him out of the corner of his eye. It'll be third down and 12 coming up.
Quarterback was rolling right into the teeth of the defense. Like you said, he did not see Tucker. And if Tucker catches that one, he might still be running. So that was kind of a risk to roll like he did into the defense and basically into the teeth of the defense, the secondary on that last play.
So we'll see if Sims can pick this up for the East. Out of the shotgun, back to throw. The protection, and now he's going to run it himself, and he's going to be brought down well shy of a first down, tackled by Hunter Paxton, the defensive lineman out of Sterling High School in Colorado. Fourth down now for the East. We saw Vandenberg kick one in from 51 earlier. This is going to be about 53 or so, and it looks like he's going to give it another go here.
Clearly, he has the leg for it. I'm interested to see up front what they do defensively. Again, there are no blocks built in, but if you can beat the guy in front of you, that's different. That's completely different.
Here it comes, and that's not
it.
going to have the distance this time. From 53, Vandenberg is no good, and so the West defense does a nice job holding here to keep it a 16-0 game, 9:29 left here in the second quarter.
At that time, it looked like they called a block.
Yes, it did.
There was more guys in the backfield that time than the previous field goal block attempt. But we're good. Let's see what the West can do. Let's see if they can put some points on the board with 9 minutes and 29 seconds left in the second quarter. Let's see if they can push this East defense back further on the football field and see if they can get in the end zone.
And they're going to have Nicholas McCarthy in at quarterback. He'll hand off on first down, and the East is up to the task. They dogpile the running back at around the 30-yard line. On the carry for the West was Noah Smith, his first carry of the game from Lincoln County High School in Nevada, 6'2", 180. And he was met pretty immediately by the East defensive line.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was trying to determine which guy made the first initial contact, but it was all 4D linemen and all 3 linebackers. So the East is ready to play. I'm just kind of wondering where the West is at this point in the game.
I think Mark McMillan's wondering the same thing. He's not used to being behind here in Arlington. Penalty on that play moved it up 5 yards. So that's why the East had such an advantage there. And look at that tip drill, nearly caught around the 50-yard line, and I think they will rule that a catch. Some great concentration there by Tristan Hymas out of Riverton High School in Utah as that ball deflected. And as he came in on his route, Tyson Booz with the catch, number 8. He's from Jefferson High School in Oregon. And a great play by him as that ball was deflected, and then he came up with it.
Great concentration drill. Great concentration drill. Those are the intangibles that colleges want to see, that coaches want to see in the next level. That level of concentration.
McCarthy will throw deep down the right side. That's Booz again running free. He's at the 10. He'll score. Touchdown. 51-yard strike from McCarthy to Tyson Booz, who makes back-to-back catches to put West in the end zone for the first time in the game.
Elijah Crockett was in with the defensive back end on that play, and I guess he was caught in the bad place at that time. He was very physical with him, but he didn't have to stay with the route and had to stay with the receiver on that one. But Mr. Booz definitely showed himself viable, showed himself able, and I think we're going to probably get the ball thrown to him a few more times now.
That was a wonderfully thrown ball also by McCarthy out of Legacy High School in Colorado. Several Colorado kids here at this All-American Bowl, and here's the extra point by Chandler Coffrin. His first attempt today is up and good, and with 8:28 left here in the second quarter, the West on the board. They cut it to a 9-point deficit, and we're going to go downstairs to Mercedes.
Out of Oak Cliff, local to Dallas. Now let's talk about that first quarter. It came out strong, dominating the game. Second quarter gets to start. There's some miscommunication, but what's going on out there? Is it just the lack of practice time, or?
Yeah, if anything, it's really the lack of practice. More practice would be a lot better because it's an All-American game, you know.
So what are you hearing from Coach out there? How do you get this together, not knowing anyone you're playing with is quite the challenge.
Yeah, it's a really challenging thing, but the coach is good. He's telling me everything to do, and yeah, he's a good coach.
Okay, but are you having fun?
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun.
As long as the East is leading the game.
Yes, ma'am. Most definitely.
And what are your biggest takeaways from the Blue-Gray experience so far? I think I got him.
Ooh. My biggest takeaway is the lack of practice, really. That's it.
Yeah, that's a high-pressure situation right there. And is this the last time you're going to get to play football before you graduate?
No, ma'am. I'm committed to Navy, and I'm going to play football at Navy.
All right. Well, best of luck to you at Navy. We'll be keeping an eye out for you. Thanks so much for talking with us, Sean. Guys, we'll take it back to you.
All right, Mercedes, a regular Alex Trebek down there. You stumped him good. And the kickoff is coming here from the West. Jimmy Pitts, Dontavius Campbell back deep. This is going to be a very short kickoff. And it's going to be Pitts, or actually Campbell, coming up on the dead run to return it. And we'll get to around the 30-yard line. So Dontavius Campbell, the return man out of Parkland High School in Texas, 5'8", 155.
T.J. McDaniels out of South Lake Carroll on the tackle, the SMU commit.
He was a good running back this year for Coach Riley Dodge, as the Dragons went 4 rounds deep in the playoffs, eventually losing big to Duncanville, who went on to play in the state championship game right here at AT&T Stadium. Lost on a crazy play to Galena Park North Shore at a Hail Mary as time expired in the 6A Division I championship. So in at quarterback now for the East, Velton Gardner, throw across the middle, a little behind the receiver, incomplete.
Got a flag
Penalty
on the play.
flag down at the line of scrimmage, might be offsides against the West. And Gardner looking for the running back on that play, Marcus Davis, who ran a deep post out of the backfield. And that is going to be offsides against the West, so that play will not count. And the East will get a free 5 yards up to the 35-yard line. Gardner will come under center. Davis is the deep back. And they're going to pitch it to him, trying to come left. The West is ready for him, and they tackle him in the backfield. Going to lose a couple on the play back to the 33-yard line.
Cody McPherson on the tackle out of Empire High School, the state of Arizona. And we have 2 players down.
So we're going to stop play here, 7:54 left. In quarter number 2 at AT&T Stadium, the 2019 Blue-Gray All-American Bowl here on the Impact Football Network. No matter where you're watching our broadcast from, we certainly are happy to have you with us. And particularly if you're a college coach, we hope you're finding what you're after. If you're needing to fill up a couple of spots, no better place to look than here at the Blue-Gray All-American Bowls. There is a lot of talent that, for one reason or another, Sheldon, just seems to go unnoticed, and this is just one way for these kids to get some more exposure as they look to make a college football roster come the fall.
Most certainly. Over the past couple of days, I've had a chance to talk to a lot of the parents about their concerns. And the most resounding question, the most common question I get is, what do you do when you're not getting notified, when the coaches are not calling you? What's my next step in the recruiting process? So games like this is your next step.
So 2nd down and about 7 after the 2-yard loss. Gardner will fake the handoff, keep it himself, and has a 1st down and more. He is a shifty runner and is going to walk out of bounds. The former Texas Tech commit said they're still in the hunt for his services. Matt Adams, the new coach there, coming in from Utah State after the firing of Cliff Kingsbury. And what a crazy story that is for Cliff, being fired from Texas Tech and then now hired as the head football coach of the Arizona Cardinals. But Matt Adams is a good coach. Came from Utah State. He'll do a good job there in Lubbock for Texas Tech. And we'll see if Velton Gardner winds up there. Played his high school football at Dallas Skyline. And here's a quick pass out to the left, intended for Cameron Young, and he is hit immediately. They're going to call that an incomplete pass.
Great job. That Nicholas Segal from University High School out of Colorado sniffed that one out real good and made a great job. Great tackle, great open field tackle, knocked the ball out. So that's what coaches want to see. If you're a young man like Nicholas that may not have a lot of commitments or schools interested in you, you continue to make plays like that against this type of caliber athlete that you're playing against, and you're definitely to get on someone's radar.
So Gardner will go back to work, 2nd and 10. Takes the snap, rolls to his right, plants, lobs one deep, single coverage, and that's nearly intercepted. Just basically thrown up for grabs, intended for Jashawn Fenderson, wide receiver out of Fulton High School in Tennessee, and broken up nicely on the play by Robert Vega, who came on a little bit earlier from Desert Mountain, Arizona, made another nice play defensively.
There is definitely some WWF going on between those offensive linemen and defensive linemen. I know when the ball is thrown, the camera's following the ball, but I wish the people at home could watch the fighting going on inside the interior. Good fighting, in my opinion. As a coach, that's what you want. You want to see kids in the trenches battling it out, and that is definitely what's going on right now.
Here comes Gardner. They blitz off the edge, and the pass is caught. 1st down and more. Running free is the receiver, Julian Cavan, and he'll get deep into West territory, brought down around the 30-yard line before the tackle made by Riley Tucker in the secondary. Great play call there by the East. And George Teague, offensive coordinator Seneca Wallace, Cavan with a good reception and run.
Tackle by Darius McMore, again, coming out of Samoa. So if your safety is leading your team in tackles, does that mean your defense is playing good?
I don't think that's a good sign. No,
okay.
I don't.
Because I think he's leading the West at tackles, Darius Lutu McMore.
Gardner takes the snap, bobbles it. Now he's going to have to run it himself. This was supposed to be a handoff, and Gardner instead will fall forward for what he can get to the 29-yard line and a gain of about 2. More than halfway through this 2nd quarter now, 16-7, the East leading, but the East really did most of its damage early on in this one. They scored both of their touchdowns within the first 5 minutes of the game. And since then, no touchdowns have been scored. There has been a field goal by Tristan Vandenberg of 51 yards, and they're in his territory once again. 2nd down and about 6. Gardner will pitch it. This is Julius Elders trying to get the corner, and does, and gets inside the 20. That'll be a 1st down for the East. Good job to sweep that play out and find the edge, and Elders will have a 1st down.
The edge was easy to find. The big defensive end there, Tate Skaggs, right here out of Newman International, kind of gave up the end, got put on his back. He's got to solidify that edge and make that ball come inside, and we don't get the ball out like we did So the edge was easy to find.
And you're familiar with Mr. Skaggs, certainly?
I am. I've had the privilege of working with that youngster when he came into our school at Hill School as a 9th grader. He was about as big as all those linemen put together. But with a lot of hard work and sacrifice, he has trimmed himself down. He's a much better player now. He's got some opportunities at Midwestern University, but he's got to come out here and play against some better talent.
Boy, look at this interception. Play made on the back end defensively by the West. Intercepted on the play by Darius Lutu McMore. There's your guy.
There
just
he is.
going up and getting it. Ball a little underthrown by Velton Gardner. And the West with a big defensive stand to get the interception. And the touchback will bring the ball out to the 20.
So that's what this game is about. That's what Blue-Gray is about. It's for young men like Darius, again, not having any commits, any schools interested. You come out here and catch an interception on the pass like that. You come out here and lead the team in tackles. You come out here and absolutely perform. Now all of a sudden there's some schools interested in you.
He has certainly acquitted himself well so far. Defensive back on the West side. And now they'll go back to work offensively, backed up just a little bit, and they throw it right back. Intercepted. Here's the return by Trey Vavel. He'll score. Pick 6, touchdown. Trey Vavel has had several plays defensively in the secondary, and none bigger than that one right there. An interception and a return of 21 yards, and the East scores again.
Great play. Absolutely great play. You think the momentum has shifted for the West, and then the East comes back and makes a great play. Mr. Vavel demonstrated some great athleticism, awareness, and he knew exactly what to do with the football once he got it in his hands. So that was good.
That ball looked like it came out really hot from the quarterback. Not an easy ball to catch. And that was up at about the eye level for Vavel. That would have been an impressive catch if he was a receiver. But the defensive back able to make that play and then return it 21 yards for the touchdown. The extra point by Vandenberg is up and good. And this means that the East will extend their lead back to 16 with 5:10 left here in the second quarter.
And again, like I told you earlier, they are scoring at will. And right now they're scoring on the defense. And if you're going to score on defense, generally in my coaching experience, if you can score a couple on offense, score a couple on on the special teams, and score on defense, that usually equates to a victory. So we'll see. I know it's plenty of game, 5 minutes left in the first half. Plus, there's another additional half after this. There's no telling what Coach McMillan gets those West team kids riled up and ready to do. But right now, it looks like George Teague and Seneca Wallace have got the recipe and they got the answer for the West.
Well, they have looked very impressive in this first half. But as you and I well know, these games are far from over, as we saw back in December right here at AT&T Stadium. A couple of big comebacks made in that game, and that one went right down to the wire. And both of the other games this year in Tampa and in Houston were good games. In fact, Team 49 in Houston had a 10-0 lead at halftime before Team Lone Star finally turned it on, ended up winning the game 29-10. Here comes the return from the West, up the hash marks, and he's going to be dropped at the 20-yard line. On the return, Seth Davis from El Dorado High School here in Texas. And good tackle made on special teams by Hayden Tunnel, who we mentioned earlier, for the East. So, short-term memory here for the West as they have to come right back out after giving up the pick 6.
Look to them to throw away from number 17 now. They're probably going to come over here and see if number 21, Kirk Wilson, is just as athletic and able to defend against the pass.
In at quarterback, Nate Hayden for the West will go back to throw. Hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10, and we'll take this opportunity to go downstairs to Mercedes.
Hey guys, I'm joined by Caleb Gerber, all the way up here from El Paso, Texas. Now, I want to talk about your future plans because you're committed to Air Force, and that's not an easy decision to make. But you said you have military in your family.
Yes. Yeah, my uncle and my aunt actually live in Colorado Springs, so they'll be my sponsor family. So it'll be nice to see family, even though I'm going to the Air Force Academy and doing my deal up there.
What a cool experience. Are you nervous at all or just excited?
I'm actually just super excited to be like on my own, you know, getting out of El Paso first of all, because I've been there all my life, and then you know, going up there to see family as well. It's just a great whole package.
And the college football experience. We have to talk about that too.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to play in that stadium, especially when we play Army or Navy. Like the stadiums get packed, and I've been to one of the games, and it's just, the environment is insane.
Yeah, you're going to love that atmosphere for sure. Now, speaking of atmosphere, it's been a wild ride these first 2 quarters, and everything's been going your way for the East team. Talk about how much fun this experience has been and what the blue-gray experience has been for you individually.
Oh, it's been great, you know, playing with these great guys out here and these great coaches. It's been nothing but a blessing, honestly.
Well, Caleb, we're going to watch for you at Air Force. Thanks so much for talking with us today. Good luck. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right, Mercedes, we'll talk to you later. And right now it's the West with the ball. Hayden will flip it out to the right side on first down. And a good hit on the running back. Oakley Wrestler made the catch, but he is knocked backwards. Or Alex Langtree, I beg your pardon, number 30. Alex is from Cypress High School out of Utah. And he's going to gain a couple on the little flip out pass to the right. 2nd down and 8 coming up.
That's what you call to the hard way.
Yeah, he earned every bit of those 2 yards. So 2nd down. Rossler will now be in the backfield behind Hayden. The quarterback takes the snap, drops it, and has to fall on it. And is able to, so he'll retain possession for the West. That was a great snap right back to Hayden. Just inexplicably dropped it, and so that's going to lose yardage for the West and set up a 3rd down and long, 3rd and 12 coming up. If you're the West, you got 3:45 left. You're down 16. Obviously, you want to try to attack and get some points here, but you also don't want to give the ball back to the East to let them maybe extend this lead late in this first half. And Hayden's going to go back to throw. As a man all alone, it's caught. This is Gross, the tight end, and a touchdown saving tackle is made by Jaden Ivey. Otherwise, the big tight end, Kobe Gross, out of Pittsburgh High School in California, 6'3", 235. He would have taken that the distance.
If you didn't get tripped up, you're right about that, Ryan. That was a great job. Tight ends are one of the most valuable, in my opinion, having played tight end both in college and professionally. One of the most valuable players in the offense. Not the most valuable, but one of, most certainly. Someone that can block like a lineman and run routes like a receiver. There's no better position. And look, and the tight end of that one came in and blocked. Someone came in for him and blocked and sealed the edge for him so the running back can get a positive yards on that play.
That's Rossler again, Oakley Rossler from McDonald County High School, Missouri, 5'10", 185, and he's certainly not afraid of contact. Picks up about 5 yards. 2nd down coming up. 2:40 left here in this 2nd quarter, and the West trying to cut into a 16-point deficit. Hayden will be the shotgun quarterback. Wrestler behind him. 4 down linemen for the East, and Hayden back to throw. Pressure up the middle. Will roll back to his left, throw across the body, and incomplete. Looking across the middle. And the pass is a little bit low. So it'll be 3rd down and 5 coming up. And that was Tristan Hymas from Riverton High School in Utah, the receiver who that was intended for on that 2nd down play. Hayden doing a nice job just to escape the pressure and give his receiver a chance to make that catch. So 3rd down and 5. Hayden, again, will go back to throw. Quick across the middle, deflected at the line of scrimmage, incomplete. Nice job by Alan Jackson from Bishop Laura High School in Indiana. Got his hand in the passing lane, breaks it up. It'll be 4th down, and now a decision here for the West team and Coach Mark McMillan. You're down by 16. You're sort of in no man's land where you're too close to punt, but too far to maybe try a field goal. And it looks like they'll just try to go for it on 4th down and about 5.5.
This West offense has got a lot of work to do inside that interior with B.J. Scarlett. They're now bringing in a running back to help that left guard with the block, with the double team for B.J. Scarlett. And not to mention on the other side of B.J., we have Shedrick This didn't.
Timeout is called here actually by the defense, the East, with the timeout. Shedrick Elliott, I think, is who you're talking about out of
Yes.
Iowa, Des Moines East High School.
Big 6'2", 395, ladies and gentlemen. 395. He is by far the heaviest young man on this team and playing the right position. They're double teaming and sometimes triple teaming him, and they got, again, like I mentioned, they're bringing over a running back to help block B.J. Scarlett. So that offensive coordinator for the West, Rodney Beasley, he's got his hands full trying to accommodate and solidify those blocks, as well as get the ball down the field, as well as trying to get the ball, try to develop some type of running game against with our very formidable defensive tackles.
A lot of the times on that defensive line, you may not necessarily be getting the numbers that you want to get as far as tackles for loss or sacks, but if you're getting double and maybe sometimes triple teamed on every play, you're opening up opportunities for other guys and sort of acting as a decoy for your teammates.
Exactly.
And here's a big fourth down play. Hayden will go back to throw, pressure up the middle, across the middle, incomplete. Broken up on the play by Kirk Wilson. And so the West will come up empty on this possession, and they'll turn it back over to the East, who has they have 2 of their timeouts. They just took their first. 2:07 left, and they're ahead by 16.
Yeah, pretty good play calling. I mean, you really can't take too much of a chance and put the ball in the air, risk the ball being intercepted. Go for the slant. Yeah, work on the pass accuracy. You know, I would go to it again. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him that time.
Do you like the call to go for it there?
Yes, we got to do something. We got to get something on some points on the board. If you don't have the confidence in your place kicker, you go for it. Yeah, didn't work for you that time. It's a gamble. We lost, and we got a chance to hope their defense can put up a stance, and we can get out of here without any more points for for the East.
Handoff on first down. Marcus Robinson Jenkins trying to come behind the right guard and is going to gain about half of a yard. Timeout is going to be called here. And was that the East that called the timeout? Their
Looks
second?
like it.
Yep.
Looks
So
like
their second timeout. They'll come over here and talk to Seneca Wallace, the offensive coordinator. As I mentioned, played for the Seahawks in his time in the NFL and actually started 8 games for Seattle back in 2008. Shared time with Matt Hasselbeck that year, who I believe was injured. And Wallace made his first start back in 2006, actually started 4 games that year for the Seahawks and played with them all the way up until about 2009. A good player in his time. Sort of on the shorter side for quarterbacks. He was sort of Russell Wilson before Russell Wilson.
But we talked about it before, Ryan. It's not about the size when it comes to football players. When I played in Buffalo, one of the best quarterbacks, one of the most name-worthy quarterbacks that anybody could ever remember was Doug Flutie. And he was not the tallest quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. But he was very effective. The players gelled around him. He was more of a field general. And when it comes down to playing quarterback, you need respect more than you need height.
And of course, Russell Wilson's not the only quarterback of smaller stature that has made a name for himself in the NFL. One of the bigger names is, of course, Drew Brees, who's only about 6 foot. You've got Baker Mayfield, who came out as the #1 overall pick to Cleveland last year, who's maybe 5'11" at the most. And we're going to see a case study once again this year in the NFL as Kyler Murray has made his intentions clear that he'll declare for the draft. And some people have him going as high as maybe number 13 to the Dolphins, maybe even higher than that. And so the smaller stature quarterback is it's not appearing to be that much of a deterrent as of late at the quarterback position. There's an incomplete pass. Nice job by Tucker to jump that route. And the East quickly with a 3 and out here, 1:08 left, and all of a sudden now the West, if they can get a good return, could maybe have something going here late in the half.
They just need some kind of points on the board and additional points on the board going into this half to try to get some momentum to switch in their favor. I got my faith in Rodney. I got my faith in McMillan. They'll get some points on the board. If there's nothing else, at least 3 points before this half is over.
There's a line drive punt, chance to return for Ritwage. Still on his feet, but not able to find any room, and some good open field tackling there on special teams by the East. Looked like B.J. Scarlett, the big guy, might have been one of them in on the tackle, and so the West will have average starting field position starting at their 22-yard line, 55 seconds, and 3 timeouts to try and cut into a 16-point deficit.
You got plenty of time to get the ball down the field, plenty of timeouts to stop the clock. They should be able to get some points, some additional points before the half is over.
And it will be Keegan Shoemaker, who has been one of their more effective quarterbacks in there, to try and lead him down in this 2-minute drill. Back to throw. Quick out to the right is caught by Ritwage. He's going to be tackled immediately in bounds. Nice open field tackle made by Matthew Bertram.
Yeah, I would expect a lot more passes and hitches and maybe some out routes that would get the ball to the receivers down the field, close to the sideline, so that once they catch the ball, they can step out of bounds and stop the clock.
About 25 seconds have come off the clock here, and it looks like finally the West will call for a timeout. So interesting there from Coach McMillan and Coach Beasley to wait that long to take a timeout. About 30 seconds came off the clock on that completed pass that only got him 5 yards. So perhaps trying to be conservative, make sure they don't make a mistake going into halftime. And remember, it will be the West getting the ball first to start the third quarter.
Conservative, to say the least, yes. But we don't, like you said, we don't want to take any unnecessary risks, and don't want to take too many chances to get somebody, get any one of these young men hurt. So I would err on the side of caution myself, also being a coach. If this is get through this half safely, everybody free, and by the time we come out and get the ball back, we should be ready to go.
We've mentioned B.J. Scarlett several times, Sheldon, and we got a chance to talk with his father, Noel Scarlett, who played in the NFL for the Patriots, played at Langston University, one of 3 guys to come out of there and play in the NFL. And B.J.'s grandfather, Noel's stepdad actually, was a coach and a player. Played at Clemson, I believe, as we were told by Dick Bell. And recruited at Oklahoma State, recruited Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders both to play at Oklahoma State. So talk about a nice pedigree in football for B.J. Scarlett. That certainly doesn't get a lot better than that. Here's a quick throw, right side, caught for a first down across the 35-yard line, and the catch made by T.J. McDaniel, the running back, will get a first down for the West.
Great job getting the first down, which stops the clock momentarily, but once the chains are reset, the clock starts again. Again, we got a timeout?
Yeah, timeout called by the West, so that'll be their second.
Yeah, you talked about BJ and the lineage, if you will, of coaching and football and his family. So, I mean, he's definitely the product of great genes, if you will, in that scenario. And it's really cool to kind of listen to his father talk about his father, BJ's grandfather, and kind of some of the things that they've done and things they've accomplished as a coaching staff, where I'm coaching with Clemson and recruiting two of some of the best football players to ever play in the game, Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas. And I've had the privilege of playing with Thurman Thomas before he retired back in Buffalo. And he was a great guy when I knew him then. I'm sure he's a great guy now. So that is really cool to be a part of such a pedigree like you mentioned.
Yeah, and we were talking, more with Noel prior to the game, and said that BJ really didn't pursue football and didn't really want to play past high school until about his junior year, and so it's been a late start to his recruitment. He's getting some looks from Rice and SMU, among others. There's a long pass down the field by Shoemaker, incomplete. Looking for Darren Ritwage on the play. It'll be second down coming up here for the West, but more importantly, 10 seconds left as they try to get in field goal range and maybe try to kick something to get some points on the board.
Getting back to that, one of the things that his father, that Noel mentioned, which is so key, having coached kids myself, is that you really can't push kids to train if it's not what they want to do. If you want it for them, it's not going to work.
Shoemaker's going to throw out to the right. That ball's actually caught.
And it's going to come
Tristan
back.
Hymas leaping up and making a pretty impressive catch over the defender Elijah Crockett, who was back in the secondary. But you're right, this is not going to count. It'll be a penalty against the West, and with 2 seconds left, you're looking at one more play, and that'll be the half.
So they do make holding calls. We're doing okay. We got one in for the first half.
Yes, one on the board of several that could have been called.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to move the West back deeper inside their own territory, inside the 30-yard line. 2 seconds left, and so we'll see something, I'm sure, pretty conservative here from Rodney Beasley. B.J. Scarlett is going to come onto the field here late as Carson Reinhart comes off.
Off tackle to the West sideline.
Yeah, something conservative here, I would imagine, and the play
maybe
clock is winding down.
Maybe not.
And they may not get this play off. The play clock wound to 0. They didn't throw the flag. Shoemaker back to throw, hit and sacked back at the 20-yard line. And the play is made by the East to send us to halftime. That is really well done there by number 59, who unfortunately we do not have on our East roster. We'll try to get the name of that young man who made the sack. And right now, it is all East as we go to halftime. 23-7 is the lead, and we are just about ready to send it downstairs. Mercedes Owens is with East head coach George Teague.
That's right, Coach. So things have been going your way for the East. Talk about what you're most impressed by so far from your team.
Man, I'm really liking how aggressive we are on defense. Our ability to close, hit, make big plays. That, as a coach, anytime you can score on defense, we're doing good things.
And with such little amount of practice time that you guys are given, did you even think that this would be the first half that you're going to have with 23 points on the board?
Well, you know what? I'm going to give a lot of credit to the athletes. We got a very smart group, and we talked about when we were practicing how focused we need to be on learning the playbook in 2 days. This group has been totally focused for the past 2 days, so it's encouraging to see.
So are you going to go into the locker room and tell them how smart they are?
I am, actually. I will give them some praise before I'm ripping down again and tell them we got to finish the doggone ball game, But I'm excited for everyone here. I'm glad for this opportunity, and we just got to close it out in the second half.
All right, Coach. Well, we'll see you after halftime.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Mercedes. George Teague, perhaps best remembered for his time here as a Dallas Cowboy, former Alabama Crimson Tide. And his team right now with a 23-7 lead at the half. Let's take a look at some of the big plays in that first half. It started off with some fireworks early, Sheldon. The East got off to a great start. They had touchdowns on each of their first 2 drives. A 51-yard run by Velton Gardner to make the lead 6-0 after the extra point was missed. And then on the very next drive, after a West 3-and-out, a little screen pass that went to Marcus Robinson Jenkins, 24 yards for a touchdown. And it looked like early on that the East offense was going to dominate things.
Well, technically, the East offense has continued to dominate. They may not have scored as many points in the second quarter offensively, but they're still dominating up front. They're getting movement with the offensive line. They are getting some aggressive blocking from the running backs. They're still showing themselves to be the better team, but like we know clearly, East blue-gray football games, the West has always shown themselves to be resilient, and they've always shown themselves to be able to show the ability to come back from any deficit. So this game is far from over, and I expect that Coach McMillan will get those guys riled up and get those guys ready to come out here and play in the second half, because they do get the ball back, correct?
Yes, they do. Yeah, they deferred their option to the second half, and so we'll see them start with the ball. And they extended their lead to 16-0 with an impressive 51-yard field goal off the foot of Tristan Vandenberg. And 16-0, they led just underway in the second quarter before the West was finally able to get on the board. A long touchdown pass from Nicholas McCarthy to Tyson Booz on a really impressive looking play. He got some good separation from the defender. McCarthy put the ball right on the money for Booz in stride, who walked into the end zone for the touchdown. And at that point, you're thinking that the West maybe has a little bit of life in them. That came at about the 7-minute mark of that second quarter, but that West offense sort of sputtering down the stretch, and then the East offense the East defense getting a big play from Trey Vavel, who got the pick six on the 21-yard return on the interception.
Definitely. Like I said, the way the East is showing are definitely in the driver's seat right now. If they come out in the second half and continue to play the same way they've done in the first half, then this game will be locked up for the East side. Anything other than that, anything less than that, the West has enough talent on their side to not only destroy this deficit, but edge out and get the victory in the end. So we've seen it before. This isn't any different. It's a beautiful day out here in Arlington, Texas. It's a great day for this game, and I think these kids are excited and they're fired up.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit, Sheldon, while we have the opportunity about sort of what this week has entailed for these players. There's been several mentions about the practicing, and the practicing did take place over the last 2 days, 3 hours each at South Grand Prairie High School. And the first day of practice, Sunday, very beautiful day. Yesterday, a little chilly, but talk about what that's like. I know you've not only coached, but also obviously been up here with me for several of these. That short practice time makes it tough on the players.
It is that initial practice especially, because you just came from a meet and greet, so to speak, and then you get out there and you have mixed emotions. You're not sure whether or not this first drill, should I be going full speed? Should I go full speed? What am I supposed to do? But one of the things we talked about during the meet and greet was the fact that this is a full contact sport. So if you're trying to get noticed, and if you haven't been noticed, this is the opportunity, this is the venue for you to do that. A lot of the times, it's the opponent that you've had during your season where you're not getting noticed. Coaches expect their recruits to have been tested. And what I mean by that is they've played against some really good opponents during the season. And I shared this with one of the parents a couple nights ago, that if you're not getting notified or you're not getting called by someone, it might not be that your son is not a good athlete, because clearly he is. It could be the competition that your son has played up against. And so when coaches watch film and they see that you're scoring, that you had a 1,000-yard season and you have 4 or 5 touchdowns in a game, or you had 20 carries for 200 yards, well, they're going to look at the opponents that you're going up against, and they're going to give them all the information that they need. It's great that you're able to do all that, and you're obviously putting up great numbers, but if your opponents are not as good as you are, or not nearly as good as your team, then that kind of works against you.
Yeah, that's a good point. And this weekend for the players and the parents sort of all got started on Saturday. Everybody flew in and sort of convened on the DFW Marriott South Airport Hotel there in the Metroplex. And on Saturday night had an opportunity to have a little meet and greet, a little introductory meeting where Sean Zaglinski, one of the higher-ups in blue-gray football, spoke. And then you and I got a chance to speak along with a couple of the other important pieces in blue-gray football. And that's just a nice night to kind of kick off the week's festivities. And then from there, the players and the parents get to enjoy a nice banquet where we see several fired up speeches, usually from Al McCauley and from Dick Bell and several of the others.
Definitely Coach Martinez as well.
Coach Martinez, who's always a pleasure to listen to at those banquets. And then the jersey presentation, which I know you got a chance to be a part of this year, and I got a chance to do it in Tampa and in Houston. And that's a nice opportunity for the players to be recognized and to receive their jerseys from their coach.
Right. It's a one-stop shop in that regard. It's trying to get to know the students, get to know the kids, and the kids to get to pick the brains of NFL guys who've traveled the path that they're trying to travel. One of the things I tried to mention during the moment when I had a chance to address the crowd was to just share with them that if this is something you want to do, then you have to pay the price. It's a lot of pain. Make no mistake about it. To play Division I college football, at least from my personal experience, and I know a lot of guys will concur, it's painful. It's excruciating pain to be able to play at the University of Nebraska during the time that I did, it was nothing but pain. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of wonderful moments, a lot of rewarding moments that I can also recall. But the one thing, the one memory that I cannot shake is the amount of pain that you have to endure if you want to be accepted into that level of play. And that's Division II, that's Division III, that's NAIA, it doesn't matter. If you're not willing or able to play through pain or endure pain, then you need to try underwater basket weaving or something. Football is not for you. And for those guys, and when we were done, and after, just a side bit, once we were done talking, after you addressed and I spoke with them, I got a chance to talk to some of the guys one-on-one, and they were amped up and ready to go. It didn't deter anybody. You know, they were like, well, I want this. I want to be a part of this. I'm about this life, and I'm willing to pay the price to be a part, to have this in my life. And so that was encouraging as well.
Yeah, and one thing that you brought up that I thought was very interesting just for myself to see on Saturday night there at the meet and greet is that, you know, you had a parent come up to you and say, hey, listen, my kid has a lot of Division II offers, but he doesn't want to accept any of those because he has his eyes set on playing Division I football. And the parent just said, hey, can you just talk to my kid and just sort of convince them that these Division II offers are not a bad thing and that it would be perhaps in his best interest to maybe consider one of them and even accept one of them. And it's just a great opportunity for these kids to be able to glean on the experience and the expertise and the advice that all of these former NFL guys who have walked that walk in football, and not only Division I football, but also lower level FBS and Division II as well, and just to kind of glean from their expertise.
Gosh, I'm glad you brought that up, Ryan. I was talking to someone else when the kid came up and asked, and the parents came up and asked, and I had to stop what I was doing because when I heard the scenario, I was like, huh? Are you kidding me? If a school, this is a great way to tell whether or not a school is interested in you. They're willing to give you money. Let's just stop there.
That's the end of the list, I guess.
Yeah, let's just stop there. So this young man, it doesn't matter who he is. This could be any man, any young man, any city, any high school, anywhere in the United States of America. If a school, whether you want to go to a Division I school or Division II school, if you got the money to pay for it, that's one thing. But if you're hoping to get a scholarship to a Division I institution, well, if you're not being called on right now, that means that coach doesn't want you. He's found someone else. However, on the flip side, if a Division II school or Division III school is willing to put money towards your scholarship, that's the coach that wants you. That's the institution that really wants to have you because, I mean, any school you look at, we're talking six figures over the course of 3.5 to 5.5 years of education. And there is a school or a coach that's willing to put some of that investment, some of that money and that capital into your education, so you can come play ball with them. That's got to be your new favorite school. And this young man's scenario was a little different. When we got to one-on-one talking, Ryan, he really kind of opened up to me and told me that the main reason for him was that the Division I schools he wanted to go to were close to home, and the schools that were offering, they were not close to home. So I can understand that. I'm originally from California. I went to a university that was about 6 states away in the University of Nebraska. So I understand being away from home. But at the same token, we have to be ready. You have to be able to endure a little pain. And so, again, even if the school that you don't want to go to is offering you the money, but they have the programs, because I think the young man wanted to go into the medical field, and this school also offered the programs that he needed to go into. And that was basically the conversation. I said, why put this burden on mom and dad? Now, if they got the money to spend, great. But if they don't, and they need you to find, and they need scholarship help like most parents in this country need. I know my mom couldn't afford college. So if there are places willing to pay for you and bring you in, those need to be your number 1, 2, and 3 schools.
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. And, you know, one other thing we want to highlight just before the start of the third quarter, you can see there's about 3 minutes left before the teams will come back out and we'll play football once again. But one thing that people may not realize is that this blue-gray football experience is not just about this game. We've mentioned the banquet and the jersey presentation and the meet and greet and the practices and those kind of things that happen during the week, but then year-round. Blue Gray is putting on these All-American combines all across the country in some pretty well-known facilities, and that's an opportunity for kids around the country to kind of get noticed by coaches, to get some quick coaching from these NFL veteran guys. And I know you've had the opportunity to to attend a couple of those and to coach in them, and tell us kind of what your experience has been with that and the benefits of those All-American combines.
I think it's one of the best combines. I've had an opportunity since I've lived in Texas to work at quite a few different companies and organizations that do combines. And they all try to bring in local coaches as well, and they try to bring in NFL coaches if they can. But the Blue Gray does a great job because everybody here is about the kids, from Gus all the way down to myself and Sean. Everybody's about the kids. I mean, it's a great little organization that puts on these combines, and it's really simple stuff. You know, we do the 40, we do pro agilities. We do the vertical jump. We do the bench press. We do all the stuff that's going to be asked of you every step of the way. Once you go to college, they got to test your acceleration. So they're going to do the 10-yard dash as well as the 40-yard dash. They're going to see your strength level. So if you're fortunate enough to play college and you perhaps get an opportunity to play professionally, again, the same test, the 40, the bench press, whether it's 185 going into college or 225 going into the NFL. Having all these college coaches running the drills and doing the testing is paramount, because
Huge.
you can ask this college graduate, this successful football player in college, this successful athlete in the National Football League, you have him there to pick their brain. Hey, what is it really like? What can I do to get better? How can I improve my times? That is definitely the time to ask questions about details, about football, about college and all that stuff. So the combines are great. It's huge opportunities for kids to get a taste of what it's like.
So if you're watching this broadcast and are interested in maybe recruiting or nominating someone to be in an All-American combine or playing in one yourself, we would encourage you to visit bluegrayfootball.com. And there are several combines coming up here pretty quickly. There's already been one this year in Tampa. We did one on the Sunday after the Blue Gray All-American Bowl there at Raymond James Stadium. But just to give you a quick glimpse of what we've got coming up, Saturday, February the 23rd in San Diego. The very next day, on the 24th of February, we'll be in Arizona at the outdoor practice field next to State Farm Stadium, where the Arizona Cardinals play. The Northern California Regional on March the 2nd in Pittsburgh, California. We'll be in El Paso on March the 10th, in Round Rock, Texas on March the 16th, all the way in Alabama, in Millbrook, Alabama, March the 16th, Daytona Beach, Florida on March the 24th, and the list goes on. You can go to bluegrayfootball.com to see the entire schedule of those All-American combines. Whether you're interested in being there yourself as a player or know someone who would be, that would be a great opportunity for them to receive some coaching, to get out and just sort of experience what it will be like at the next level of play.
And another note, Ryan, if you want to play in the All-American Bowl game, you got to go through the combines.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's no other way for the combine coaches and scouts to even notice you unless you go to the combines. And if you find your way into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I'll be at those combines as many as I can in this Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'll get a chance to meet you, get a chance to talk with you. Feel free to come up and talk to me. I'll be easily noticeable. I'll probably have something that says Nebraska on it, or I'll probably be the one doing the stretching.
Yeah, one thing about Sheldon that I'll just let everybody know, he is not on social media, but if he's in your presence, he is more than happy to talk to you. And speaking of talking, we've got Mercedes Owens downstairs. Mark McMillan, what's going on? Yeah, we're not getting Mercedes, so we'll maybe
game this time.
There we go.
And what did you say to the guys in the locker room? What are you looking to improve on?
They just got to tackle better. They just got to play as a unit, play as a team, and just got to go out here and win and just play football.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck. We're going to see what happens. We always keep it interesting in these games.
Oh, you're right. Hopefully we can win it.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Mercedes. Mark hoping for another comeback like he had back in December. He has pretty much owned George Teague in these games here in Arlington. And Mark is such a good guy. He spoke at the banquet in Houston and just had this just goes a long way in talking about all of the coaches and staff members involved in this blue-gray football game. Just genuine care for the student athlete and their well-being, not only in football but also beyond football in the game of life. And there is really no other organization where the coaches, I feel like, care as much as the coaches here at Blue Gray do.
I share your sentiment, Ryan. A lot of our coaches do other things.
Yeah.
They don't just simply coach football. Like now, myself, I coach at a school here right down the road, but a lot of the coaches have they're a part of other industries. They have other ways to make a living. This is not that way. This is this is definitely a give back because the time that we spend, some of us, we take off time off of our other work or whatever the case may be. A lot of the coaches are flown in just to be here. This is all about giving back, and what great way to do it with the next generation of student athletes. This is kind of a passion for most of the coaches that I've had a chance to work with here, from Dick Bell, well, definitely from Gus Bell, down to his brother Dick Bell, Al McCauley, Chris Taylor, Larry Sanders. Everybody here is doing this because they truly love the game, and they truly love what they want the game to go in the right direction, and they also, more importantly, they love the kids.
Yeah, George Martinez, the defensive coordinator here today for the West. He's been the head coach at 2 of the Blue-Gray All-American Bowls earlier this year, and he got to speak at one of the banquets. His 41st year as a football coach just concluded. He's been a head football coach at 2 universities. He's coached high school there in Arizona, coached 5 years in the NFL under Buddy Ryan, and he's just another name on the list of guys who, as you said, give back their time. And, George had to put in for a sub today. I'm sure he had to miss school and miss class and miss the workouts with his players back in Arizona to be here today. And these guys are more than happy to do it because of their love of the game, and they want to see it obviously continue to prosper and see these kids do well in football and also in life after football.
I don't think there's anything more exciting than watching amateur sports.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
High school age athletics, to me, it's just so exciting. It's so good to watch kids take what you give them, apply it, and then watch them be successful with it. I mean, it's just the greatest experience I can imagine right now.
So both teams have made it back out of the tunnel. They're back on the field, obviously, as you can see, and the warm-ups have concluded. We're just about ready to kick off this third quarter. And I think Mark McMillan kind of hit it on the head in his interview downstairs with Mercedes. The West team just has to tackle better and start playing football, and they'll get back into the game probably.
Running and hitting, you think?
Something about, I think you mentioned that on Saturday. Running and hitting is the name of the game.
That's it. That's all every coach wants to see. Can you run and can you hit? And if you can't, again, there's other things you may want to consider doing. And if you don't want contact, again, there's other sports you can play where there isn't any contact involved. But if you're putting your helmet on, putting your shoulder pads on, and you're putting those pants on 1 foot at a time, you obviously want some part of this contact. So you need to be out there and be about this life.
So the West is going to receive the opening kickoff to start the third quarter. And how important is it for you, Sheldon, that the West get something out of this first drive, if not a touchdown, at least maybe some points?
Well, I didn't want to have to say this, Ryan, but again, that first practice, they called me in. I found out 45 minutes before practice that I was going to be the offensive line coach. So I spent some time with these guys. So I got a little bit of a vested interest in the West offensive line. So I'm not exactly excited the fact that they're down by so many points this late in the game.
I guarantee you Mark McMillan's not either. Even in a game like this, you want to win. And here's the kickoff, low line driver from Tristan Vandenberg. This will be returned from the 5-yard line. And right up the middle with a good return across the 30. Still on his feet across the 40 is TJ McDaniel. A running back out of South Lake Carroll High School. He's headed right here in the Metroplex to Southern Methodist University. And a good return for the West. That's a good start. They get to the 45-yard line.
Credit that tackle to Trey Vaval, Blue Springs South. We've heard his name quite a few times, especially with that interception touchdown he had in the second quarter, correct?
Yeah, there was a pick six, a 21-yard return that gave the East this 23-7 lead that they currently enjoy. And so for the West, it'll be the local product, Keegan Shoemaker, starting at quarterback. He'll hand off on first down, and that offensive line that you mentioned Not much push up front there. Justin Netson got the carry, and he's maybe wishing that he hadn't.
Wow. What I just saw B.J. Scarlett do to that left guard was ridiculous. Not only did he come off the ball so hard, he knocked the lineman had no idea what he was doing. I think he may have closed his eyes because B.J. not only pushed him back but made a tackle in the backfield. That was great football right there. Great exhibition, if you will, a demonstration of hitting.
You know, Scarlett is listed at 240, but looking at his frame, he could easily put on 30 to 40 pounds of good muscle. There's an interception on a pass across the middle. Here's the return by Vavel again.
Wow.
Inside move to the 20, finally brought down at the West 17-yard line. And if there's one guy who has the inside track at defensive MVP, it might be Trey Vaval out of Blue Springs South High School in Missouri, his second interception of the game.
On right, definitely right there, Coach Ryan. Defensive player of the game track for sure. Game is still a lot of time to play, but if the East can pull this out, that's one of the names I'm putting in the hat.
Boy, how about the anticipation there from Trey to step in front of that pass. He was back in what looked like zone coverage and just reading the quarterback's eyes, able to step in front and make the interception, and now the East with a chance to really put some distance between themselves and the West here early in this third quarter. There was a flag down on the play, but I did not see an indication from the official, although it is against the West, because it moves the ball inside the 10-yard line, half the distance to the goal.
They need a big play, the West, right now. And anything they can do, whether it's a fumble recovery, interception, block, pass, anything to spark some fire on that side of the ball.
Sean Sims in at quarterback. Some miscommunication between him and the backfield. Tries to hand off, but nobody there, and so he'll have to just try and get back to the line of scrimmage, but he did not. He'll lose about half a yard, second and goal.
That's a start.
I would think for the West, if you're Coach Mark McMillan and defensive coordinator George Martinez, holding to a field goal here would be considered a huge victory.
It would.
The ball starting inside the 10.
It most certainly would. One play at a time. But like we mentioned, the defense has got to put a hold together. They cannot bend anymore. They've broken enough. They cannot bend now as well.
So Sims will be under center. Cameron Young is the fullback with his hand on the ground. And they're going to give it to the deep man, Marcus Robinson Jenkins, right up the middle. He'll carry the ball inside the
fumble
7, and the ball is fumbled. And yeah, you're right, recovered by the West. There you go. You called it.
I'm getting better.
You're trying to get one all day, and you just did, partner.
I'm getting better.
Turnover gives the ball back to the West, and that is a huge play.
Now, what is your offense going to do with it? What is the West going to do with the ball? Now it's all on the offensive coordinator to call the right play. But more importantly than the offensive coordinator calling the right play, Ryan, the kids have to execute.
Yep. Yeah, I would add one extra line to your running and hitting. I'd say execution.
Yes.
You can
Most certainly.
You can be as prepared as you could possibly be, but if you don't get out there and execute what you prepared, then you're not going to amount to much in this game.
Very true.
Keegan Shoemaker, after throwing the interception, is going to be right back in there with both feet in his end zone, back to throw across the middle, and that ball's caught. A sliding grab across the 15, made on the play by Braylon Washington out of Thomasville High School in Alabama, and that's a good start to the drive. A first down to the 16-yard line.
Jaden Ivey on the defense from Lebanon High School, Missouri.
Well, you like the throw there from Shoemaker after the interception was thrown. Short-term memory there to just come back out and keep firing.
He looks real comfortable in the pocket, doesn't he?
Well, he really does. Has good pocket presence. He's going to hand off here on first down. Justin Knutson around the right end will be dropped short of the 20. Okay. Gain of a couple.
Okay. Looks like they're getting a little more momentum head there. Number 70 for the West. I think it's the right guard, right tackle. Emmanuel Levine out of Louisiana was seen doing some good blocking downfield with the big fella, number 67, Shedrick Elliott III. So I think they're ready to go.
Shoemaker again will be in the pistol. Second down and about 8. And back to throw. Pressure comes from Scarlett, and Shoemaker will have to roll to his right, throws it away, incomplete. B.J. Scarlett has been a nightmare for this West offensive line. He has been nearly unblockable.
And he had the quarterback in his sights. It's a good thing the quarterback got rid of the ball because B.J. was coming.
The other thing we heard from his dad, Noel, down before kickoff is that he's a great student as well. Had a 28 on the ACT.
Yes, and also information about the Ivy League school that I did not know.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that here after this play.
Big third down. Shoemaker back to throw. Pressure again from Scarlett. Hit and sacked, and the fumble will now let's say incomplete. Incomplete pass. They'll say Shoemaker's arm was moving forward just as Scarlett got there. Wow, what a player. B.J. Scarlett out of Coram Deo Academy right here in the Metroplex from Flower Mound, Texas. It'll be 4th down and time to punt.
Quick note for all you listeners, all you kids out there, the Ivy League schools require that you have all A's from 9th grade through 12th grade. They don't want anything other than that. So we learned that from Noel Scarlett, who has been trying to get BJ signed up with some Ivy League schools, and they're pretty stringent about their grading policy.
And that punt by Perez, not his best effort. Looking for a big booter to maybe flip field position, but instead it's going to go out of bounds, and they're going to mark this ball at the 32-yard line. So you're talking about a 13, 14-yard punt there. And so the East ahead 23-7 with a chance to add to that, have the ball at the West 32-yard line. So B.J. Scarlett, Columbia was interested, and unfortunately we mentioned he's got a great GPA, but it's that freshman year that sort of is holding him back from that particular opportunity. But Rice and SMU, two very good academic institutions in their own right, looking at him to play football. And the ball just came out for the East. I believe they were able to recover it around the 30-yard line. It's the ball carrier for the East there, very loose with the ball. I believe that was Gerber, Caleb Gerber, who's headed to Air Force. We heard from earlier on the telecast.
You can credit Daniel Bone, I apologize, from Pine Creek High School in Colorado with causing the fumble. He saw the ball carrier, saw the ball exposed, and delivered a real mean hit. Got the ball on the ground, but the East was right there to recover it.
Julius Elders is in the game to the right of Gardner in the backfield. Gardner, the quarterback, back to throw, escapes the pocket pretty quickly. Still looking downfield. Now will run it himself. He's at the 20 and will walk out of bounds. He has a first down deeper into West territory, marked out at the 17-yard line. First down run for Velton Gardner.
Defensive ends have got to corral that and keep contained. The linebacker on that position looked like he had the angle. Speed does kill in football. So if he had a better angle towards the sideline, we might have had a better job keeping the quarterback contained on that play.
We've got a pretty good opportunity to see Gardner's skill set so far in this game. Who do you liken him to most at the quarterback position?
I think the old Michael Vick. That's what I'm reminded of when I watch him play. You know, if the pass is not there, Vick was gone.
Yeah.
And so Gardner tends to play a little bit like that. I'm reaching back a little bit. You know, as far as some of the more modern ball players, who would you think?
Well, I think Kyler Murray is a stretch, but he seems to have the same similar type of skill set, the quick feet to escape the pocket, and then once you get out of the pocket, the ability to turn on the jets. But I think you're right. Michael Vick seems like a good comparison. It always seemed like Vick was looking to run, and maybe just when he didn't get his first read, okay, I'm going to take off here, and that's sort of what Gardner has shown in this game so far.
We have two offsetting penalties, like personal fouls on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, so those will be offset, and so the play will count. It'll be second down from the 10-yard line for the East as they try to extend this 23-7 lead. They have not scored an offensive touchdown in a while. It's been since the 11:03 mark of the first quarter.
Uh-oh, it's 11:26. It's about that time.
We're going to switch the running backs around in the backfield. Julius Elders is going to take the handoff right up the middle, and he carries the ball close to the stick. It will be good enough for a first down for the East. First and goal coming up. And a penalty flag after the play. And this has been one of the more chippy blue-gray All-American Bowls that we've seen in recent memory.
And I'll be honest with you, Ryan, I don't mind a little back and forth between linemen and D linemen. We don't want anybody to be punked. We don't want our kids to be punked by anybody on the football field. We want to play a respectful game. We don't want to necessarily just get into some mindless chatter and banter on the field. We want to settle the score between shoulder pad and helmets, but at the same time, don't back down.
And that penalty was against the East. 15 yards will move them back to the 22-yard line. It's going to be first and goal from there, I believe. Are they going to make it first and 10?
Let me credit Jacob Tafoya out of La Junta High School in Colorado on that last tackle.
And it looks like they will make it first and 10 from the 22-yard line, so that's a little bit of a break for the East because it was going to be first and goal. Gardner will roll to his right, looking downfield, now just decides to run and cuts it up the field and is close to another first down. Boy, he's got some speed once he hits the edge.
I like that play. He's smart, too. He doesn't take any square hits. He gets as many yards as he can. As soon as he sees that there's no more yards he can go, he steps out of bounds. That's safe playing football. That's how you keep your body healthy throughout the game as well as the season when you're playing quarterback. If you're a runner, running backs too, if you pound, you can only pound for so much. And so to expand your game, expand your durability, if you will, get what you can, get out of bounds.
So now it will be first and goal for the East from the 8-yard line. They have held the ball here for several minutes on this drive. Gardner again in the gun.
Sweep to the left.
Elders is now to his left. Gardner's going to throw. Fade to the back corner of the end zone, jumping up and breaking up the pass is the defensive back. Beautifully done there.
That's a great play by Riley Tucker.
Yeah.
Good job getting his hand in there because if he doesn't fight, that's going to be 6 more points for the East. Good job fighting all the way to the very end. Whistle to whistle. That's exactly what you want to see.
I believe that was Joseph Carbone, the intended receiver, Cypress Christian High School in Texas. Pretty well thrown ball there by Gardner, but just a great play by Tucker on the defensive end. And think about that defensive backfield this year for Desert Mountain High School in Arizona when you talk about Robert Vega, who we've called several times, and then Riley Tucker. Both back there making plays. Gardner under center now is going to turn and toss it. Sweep to the right. Good block out in front. Cameron Young will take the ball inside the 5 down to about the 3.
Daniel Bone on the tackle for that one out of Pinecrest, Colorado again. He's a very solid defensive back. I mean, he seems like he's not afraid to come up and hit. It looks like he does a good job covering the middle of the field. Most of the passes seem like they've been on the sideline or down the field. But he's done a really good job with run support during this past series.
I want to apologize. That was Caleb Gerber on the carry. Got the ball to the west 3-yard line, and it's now a 3rd down and goal. So you're talking about a 4-point play here for the East, trying to punch it in and put this game away early in the 3rd. Gardner under center. And he's going to fake the toss. He lost his footing and now lost the ball, but they're going to say he was down. His knee was down. Looked like he got tripped up maybe by his own running back there. And that play, which looked to have some good promise to it with a good misdirection fake toss, and then Gardner coming back to his left to try to run it in, unfortunately does not pay off for the East.
Without that slip, I think he gets in. But
that was very unfortunate for Velton Gardner, who more than likely would have scored on that play. Great play design by the East and head coach Seneca Wallace. And they're going to have to settle for 3 here, or at least an attempt at 3. This will be a 25-yard attempt here for Vandenberg, who was good from 51, missed a 53-yarder earlier.
And like you mentioned earlier, this is a great break.
They rushed it and they blocked it.
There's a block.
They blocked it, and they're going to recover it. Blocked by West, and so that means they hauled East off the board. That's a huge play.
Yes, it is.
Nearly midway through this 3rd quarter.
Any type of play like that on special teams, because so many teams and so many coaches kind of get away from the special teams. That's an offensive weapon or a defensive weapon in some cases, like it proven in here in this case. If you can score on the special teams, that almost solidifies a victory, depending on turnovers and other factors of the game. But that was great right there. You just can't get them all the time because some kids don't take them as serious, and that's because the coaches don't make special teams so serious.
Hey, by the way, Sheldon, that was Hadari Andrews who got back and covered the block. We saw him go down earlier with an injury, so good to see him back in and making a play there. And there's a penalty flag down here on the play, and I'm not sure that there was a play, so we'll have to see exactly what this is about.
Yeah, that's good for Hadari to be back in the game, and as I tell you what, that's a very happy mother in the stands watching him back on the field as well.
This is a huge penalty against the West.
Do we know what it is?
Did not see the indication.
Looks like the East offense is going back on the field.
I think you're right about that.
It's not a re-kick, is it? Looks like a re-kick.
It does. Wow, what a huge break for the East. I never saw an indication about what the penalty flag was all about.
And we still don't see one.
It doesn't look like the ball was moved anywhere. This is still going to be about a 25-yard effort here for the East. Your guess is as good as mine, partner.
I have no idea.
But it does look like the ball did get moved in further, so it was a penalty, obviously, against the West.
I'm looking for the white hat, see what he says, what he's gesturing.
Well, I think that time has come and gone, but all I can guess is offsides. Here's the second try by Vandenberg for much closer, and this time it's good.
All right.
So a three-point swing there.
We can almost null and void everything we just said about special teams here.
I guess so. So now the East, with 8:43 left here in this third quarter, have their largest lead of the game at 19.
Is there enough time to come back, Ryan?
Well, the West came back, I think it was 3 touchdowns in the second half. Last time they were led by a Colorado kid, Cooper Lega, in that game. And the West has a Colorado quarterback of their own, Nicholas McCarthy from Legacy High School, who has thrown the only touchdown pass of the afternoon for the West. So don't count Mark McMillan and his team out just yet.
So if they get a return for 6, then I think that helps them out. That's the momentum they're going to need right there. At least a good return past the 50.
Yeah, you might remember in that game back in December, the crazy sequence where we had a punt return for a touchdown, and then the ensuing kickoff was returned for a touchdown. You don't see that hardly ever
in any level
in the game of football.
Right. So we'll see.
We haven't seen a lot of returns so far today. We'll see if Vandenberg gives the West an opportunity to return this ball. TJ McDaniel is back deep, along with Seth Davis. And it is high end over end. McDaniel will have a chance to return, backing up to the goal line, but now it goes through his arms, and it'll just have to be a touchback. So the West will start at its 25-yard line, 8:43 left third quarter, and the East in control here at AT&T Stadium. Ryan Castle, Sheldon Jackson, glad to be with you here on the Impact Football Network. So for the West, it will be McCarthy, the aforementioned Nicholas McCarthy out of Legacy High School in Colorado, coming in to play quarterback for the West on this series. McCarthy will be in the shotgun, 2 receivers, a tight end and a running back, and the handoff on first down to Oakley Wrestler. Over the right tackle, gains a couple up to the 27-yard line. Let's go downstairs to Mercedes.
Have a chance.
He's going to SMU for running back.
That's what Sean said.
And we'll go downstairs right now to Mercedes.
Hey guys, I'm
Owens.
down here with Preston Wilson, headed to Oklahoma State in the fall. What made your decision there?
Oh man, definitely the Cowboy culture. You know, Oklahoma State's all about faith, family, football, and winning. So getting to go play for an elite program like Oklahoma State, and getting to go play for the legendary Coach Gundy, it was really a no-brainer. That's where I belonged after much prayers and talk with my family.
Now, okay, that was almost a tongue twister. Faith, family, football. How did it take you a second to get that one down?
I've really been talking with Coach Gundy, and that's the way they break it down. Faith, family, football, and winning. That's what Oklahoma State football is all about.
And is this the last time you're playing before you graduate? Is this your last high school football experience?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
What do you think about it so far?
It's a great experience getting to spend my last game in the Cowboys Stadium. The game's not going how we like it to, but maybe we can make a turnaround and have a good second half and hopefully have a good outcome.
Now, Mark said he didn't take it easy on you guys in the locker room. What head coach had to say?
He had to say, we got to get our stuff together. We got to go out there and have a great second half. We have to fix our mental bust and our mental errors. We got to catch the ball. O-line, we got to keep a good pocket for the quarterback, make some things happen out there.
Well, if there's one thing I know about these blue-gray football games is that you never know what's going to happen. So get out there and do your thing, right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks for talking with us, Preston. Thanks, guys.
All right, Mercedes, thanks very much. Preston Wilson from Argyle High School here in Texas, one of the powerhouses in 4A football. Headed to Oklahoma State. He'll be teammates with DeAndre Glass, who committed at our last blue-gray football game to play for Coach Mike Gundy at halftime. And a big conversion as we were downstairs talking to Mercedes by the West. Here's a throw by McCarthy, and he fits it into a tight window for a completion. Tristan Hymas with a catch, out of bounds in East Territory. And that throw, very nicely done there by McCarthy.
They're starting to put it together here for the West offense. They're starting to, a couple passes here, an option, a couple plays previous, which was really phenomenal. You don't see that very often in football nowadays. And then a couple passes towards the interior a little bit. This is good for the West.
All right, now it is McDaniel and Wrestler in the backfield. They're going to give it. No, they're going to fake it to Wrestler, and an option coming here to the near side for the quarterback McCarthy. Going to be brought down right around the line of scrimmage. It'll be second down coming up.
Now, coming from a university where we focus primarily on option, you can't be hesitant when you're going to run the option. I can't remember a quarterback. Well, I do remember quarterbacks who were hesitant running the option. They got hit a lot. But the ones who were decisive, the ones who knew what to do, they knew how to not take a square hit, like I like to call it. So you can't be hesitant.
McCarthy again in the gun, second down, back to throw. Pressure from his left side, delivers on target, complete for Jacob Walker. And Walker will be spun down around the 42-yard line. Going to be third down coming up here for the West.
There's about 3 or 4 completions just in this series, right?
Yeah, he's looked very good, no doubt about it.
He's doing much better.
I know Scott Frost obviously was a quarterback at Nebraska.
Yes.
The 97 championship team. Were you there when he played quarterback?
Most certainly.
Yeah.
I was one of his favorite targets. We didn't throw the ball very much at the University of Nebraska back in the day. But when we did throw it, it was effective. I like to believe we were effective.
McCarthy with a nice pass out to the running back and the safety valve, Oakley Wrestler. On third down and about 4, he's going to get very close to the stick, and that will be good enough for a first down for the West. A huge conversion there to keep the drive going. Well, it seems like, just from an outsider's perspective, that Coach Frost is doing a good job trying to get that program back to national prominence.
Yes.
He took Central Florida to high heights.
Very quickly, as a matter of fact. Yeah, it just takes time. You can't give you give a young man like Scott Frost opportunity in that kind of environment. That's his home state. It's alma mater. You got to let him go pick out his players now. And any coach will tell you can't do anything. I don't care how much strategies you got, how many X's and O's, whatever your philosophy may be, coaching strategies may be. None of that matters if you don't have the talent. So once you can pull in the right talent for your program, for the city, for the state, then we'll be back on top again. Just takes a little time.
Here's second down and 6 for the West. Trying to get something on the board here in the second half. And they'll hand off here.
Oh, come on.
Wrestler losing his footing just a little bit. And brought down after a gain of 1. So third down coming up here for the West. I would imagine this is 4-down territory when you take the score into account and where they are in the field. So try to get something positive here on third down, and you got 2 downs to get 5 yards.
Which is great when you're considering the playbook. You just need 5 yards. You just need some if you can run the ball and get 1 or 2 yards, that is great. That's what you need.
Ritwage and Hymas are to the right. Jacob Walker in single coverage to the bottom of your screen. And McCarthy will throw, slant across the middle, and it's dropped by Hymas. He was open and would have been right there at the marker, but it'll be 4th down.
And now this makes the play calling a little more sensitive, if you will, because there's only a handful of plays you can go with when it's 4th and 5. And one of them usually means kicking the ball over to the other team.
Well, if you're the West and Coach Mark McMillan, offensive coordinator Rodney Beasley, you almost want to just dial that up again. You had it. Man was open, throw was on target, just not able to squeeze the catch.
Right.
So let's see what they do here on 4th and 5. Let's actually call it 4th and a long 5, maybe 6, to get the first down.
I wouldn't be surprised for a play down the field.
And McCarthy is looking downfield, now comes back to the right, lobs it down the right sideline, leaping catch. First down, great play made by TQ Jackson, the first catch he's made of the game. The Arkansas commit gets the big 4th down conversion.
Again, that totally speaks to what we've been talking about all game. You can have the X's and O's. You can call this, it's running and hitting, but what you mentioned, the dimension you added was execute, and that was a perfectly executed play by a talented young man.
I was going to say, when you have a receiver like TQ Jackson, 6'3", 190, who can climb the ladder like that, that's a great weapon to have as a quarterback. McCarthy's going to hand off. Wrestler behind the left tackle will carry the ball inside the 15 to about the 13-yard line. It'll be 2nd down from there.
Credit Matthew Bertram from Marietta High School out of Ohio on that tackle.
So 2:18 and counting to play here in this third quarter. The West with a lot of just an uphill battle in front of them, but they're on the right track trying to get it into the end zone.
Now they got to finish, though. They got to get points on the board, and we mean they need 6, not just 3.
McCarthy will throw, slant. Oh, and he tried to go to the back shoulder to Walker, incomplete. Nice play made defensively by the East, and it's going to be now 3rd down and 8 coming up. I believe that was Jimmy Pitts.
Yes, sir. I had a chance to talk to Mr. Jimmy Pitts. He came in to registration all by himself. I think his folks are here today, but he came in and signed up for himself by himself. And I was like, well, how do you pronounce this? It's high school. He made sure I said it correctly. It's not just Notastoga. It's Notastoga. Just so you know, Notastoga.
I'm going to write that one down.
Notastoga. Emphasize the Olga part.
Here's 3rd down and 8 across the middle. It's Pitts again, breaking up the pass to Walker. Jimmy Pitts, who came in as a specialist. He was a kick returner, and that's it. Out there playing some defensive back and making an impact for the East. It's going to be 4th down and 8, and at this point, I'm not sure what a field goal does for the West. You just got to try to pick up this conversion. They need to get down to about the 5-yard line to keep the drive going. So McCarthy will get his team lined up, and timeout, I believe, was just called by the officials, it appears. 1:48 to play here in the third quarter, and the referee's going to go over and talk to Mark McMillan about what, I'm not entirely sure, but you can see Mark down there with his hands behind his back, wondering what in the world's going on. You can see down there also the gentleman with Zenith helmets who spoke with the players at the meet and greet. Yeah, Chris Ivey, former, well, there's no former Aggie, former student at Texas A&M and quarterback for the New Orleans Saints on their practice squad. All these players wearing the Zenith helmet here at the Blue-Gray All-American Bowl.
And these helmets are phenomenal. And when the kids come in and check and go through registration, and he fits the helmets for each kid, and he has one of those with the clear coating, so you can see what it looks like on the interior.
Here's the field goal try by Chandler Coffrin, and he missed it wide to the right. So the West electing to try for a field goal. They do not capitalize, and so with 1:28 to play here in the third, it'll stay East 26, West 7.
Yeah, a lot of great reviews about the Zenith helmet. A lot of us older fellas wish we had helmets like that when we played.
Yeah, Chris Ivey had a personal story to tell on Saturday about a time when he took a hit in one of those playing quarterback, and said he got trucked by a defensive lineman and basically fell back on his head, and basically described it as being, it felt like he got hit by a pillow.
Right.
And, that's certainly a high praise for a helmet, no doubt about it. And
make no mistake, I think Chris's head is pretty hard in and of itself. But having the helmet, it didn't hurt any as well.
He got his mechanical and manufacturing engineering degree from Texas A&M. And a false start is coming here against the East, as this play does not get off to a good start. Grant Johnston from Blacksburg High School in Virginia out there to play quarterback for the East team in the blue jerseys. We mentioned earlier that this game started back in 2013. The first game was played at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, and it's been all over the place since then. There's been, I believe, 6 games now played here at AT&T Stadium, several more at Raymond James Stadium. They've played at TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. It was called Everbank Field at the time. Also at the Oakland Coliseum on the West Coast, and for the first time this year at NRG Stadium in Houston. Again, just one of the unique aspects of this All-American Bowl, the fact that these kids get the opportunity to play in an NFL stadium under former NFL veteran coaches. It's just something that cannot be replicated anywhere else.
Right. For those of you who are listening, if you plan to come to this event, I want to encourage you to stay in shape. A lot of these kids haven't played football in a couple months. Definitely keep your nutrition right, and just be in the best shape that you possibly can be in before you get here.
There's a nice catch made by the East. B.J. Fisher wrestling that away from the defensive back from Hallsville High School here in Missouri. And Fisher able to keep that away from the defense, gain a couple of yards, make it third down. Third down and about 12 here for the East, as we're under half a minute to play now in the third quarter. This has been a long third quarter. Not a lot of scoring has taken place, only a touchdown by the East. Or a field goal, actually, I beg your pardon. A field goal by the East has been the only scoring here in this third quarter. Nobody has made it into the end zone just yet.
West needs a big defensive play right now, if nothing else, to keep them where they are so they can get some good field position for their offense.
And that's going to be the final play of the third quarter. So we'll go to the fourth here at AT&T Stadium. The sun beaming through the windows here at Jerry World, home of the Dallas Cowboys. And as we go to the fourth quarter, it's the East 26 and the West 7. Well, the East just sort of holding serve there in that third quarter, not allowing the West to get back into it. I thought the East left some points on the board. They had the interception by Trey Vavall that gave them some good starting field position, but then gave it right back on the fumble. And so the teams sort of exchanging mistakes there in that third quarter, looking to get back on track as we go to the fourth.
Yeah, I hope Coach Teague is not resting on this point spread here. I hope he understands that this is Coach McMillan's this is comfort zone here. This is where he likes to operate. The comeback, the impossible, what looks to be impossible. So I would not be surprised if the West, once they get the ball back, are able to compile a few touchdowns to make this game a little more interesting.
By the way, if you're interested in going back and looking at any of our previous Blue-Gray All-American Bowls, not just from the class of 2019, but prior to that, you can visit the Impact Football Network's website. All of those games are archived there for you to take a look at. So if you're still looking for some players for the class of 2019, The 3 previous games all available on the Impact Football Network along with this one. Here's a nice pass out to the left by Johnston as he escaped the pressure. Got it off nicely to Marcus Robinson-Jenkins, who gets some positive yardage and close to a first down. It'll be 2nd down and 1 coming up.
We'll credit Caleb Sanchez, number 50, on the tackle from Lowry High School in Nevada.
Beg your pardon, not 2nd down, but 4th down coming up. That was the first play of the 4th quarter. And we're going to have a timeout called here by the East. That's their first charge timeout of this second half. So timeout down on the field, 15:24 left. And again, if that seems a little odd to you, we'll remind you that the Blue-Gray All-American Bowl with 16-minute quarters. And that's a bit of an adjustment for the players because in the high school level, you're talking about 12-minute quarters. So that's really an extra quarter, more than an extra quarter of football that you're playing here today.
Like 5 quarters of football almost instead of 4. Yeah. But a lot of these kids are not playing the entire quarter in that they're on the field the entire time. So it's just to accommodate the number of kids. Some of the positions they have, like for both teams, they have like 8 or 9 to 10 linebackers. So you want to make sure everybody gets enough linebacker rotation. So you got to add a few, and Gus can do that. With this connection here with AT&T Stadium, he can add a couple more minutes to a quarter if he wants to, and just to give every kid a chance to get on the field and to get as many reps as possible. Again, opportunity, opportunity, opportunity.
Johnston will come under center. Nearly ran into his running back as he gave him the ball. Makai Stanley behind the right guard up to about the 30.5-yard line, and that was a 4th down. So they're very close.
Let's see where they get the
spot. First down should be good enough.
They spotted it favorably.
Yes, they did, and they say that he crossed the 30, so that'll be a first down for the East. Coach Al McCauley getting them fired up down there on the near side bench.
Ryan, if I wasn't standing on the, if I'm standing on the 30 and where that young man went down, it's not where that official spotted it, but that's okay. That's why we're doing this and they're doing that.
Going back to the clock, you know, it's Gus Bell's joke that he can do whatever he wants because it's his clock, and he's right.
Yes, he is.
Here's a fake handoff. Johnston looking to throw, and here comes the pressure. He is slung down. Greg Alley from Pinnacle High School in Arizona came hot and heavy off the edge and got to the quarterback. Drops him for a huge loss back to the 25-yard line.
This is exactly what the West defense must do at this time of the game if they look to have a chance to win this game. Defense has to step up. Big plays like that need to be made. Now, if the East put the ball in the air, the West has got to pick it off and run it back. They got to score on defense as well. Same thing the East did in the first half.
You know the East is going to be in no hurry to get these plays off. 5 on the play clock. Johnston under center, turns hands off, and some good pursuit into the backfield. Stringing this play along is the running back, Makai Stanley, still on his feet. Now the ball comes out. It is loose around the 20-yard line. Stanley was fighting all day long for extra yardage that he just wasn't going to get, and it might have just cost his team the ball.
One thing I noticed on that play defensively was some bad technique when it comes to tackling. You notice all the heads going down before contact? I don't know if you noticed that, but that is not good technique defense. That's a great way to get your neck broken. You cannot put your head down and close your eyes before contact. You've got to keep your eyes on what you're going to hit. There was 2 instances there for the West team where guys were coming up trying to make a tackle, but their heads were down and they were not looking at the person they were trying to hit. And that's why Makai Stanley was able to avoid those tackles.
After all is said and done, the turnover gives the ball to the West with the ball at the 19-yard line of the East. So a chance to get back in this in a hurry. Nate Hayden, the quarterback under center. Play fake. They're going to run an end around, and the East is there to make the tackle. What a job done there by number 59, Tavarian Martin Scott. He was the guy who got the sack to end the first half, and he makes another huge tackle for loss here for the East.
What do you think about the play on that one, Ryan?
I like the intent, but
execution.
Boy, the East was ready for that.
Yeah.
I don't know what about that was so obvious to the East, but Martin Scott out of East Robertson High School in Tennessee was not fooled at all.
Now
So
they have to
second
pass.
down and 21.
Now they have to pass.
Yep. Hayden back to throw. Looking deep right. Single coverage. Intercepted again. Intercepted on the play by the East. Nicely done to get the takeaway. And that was DeWade Black, listed as a linebacker from Wichita East High School in Kansas.
Well, he was
with the
covering
interception.
he was covering the tight end, so he might have been playing in linebacker position, but he was covering the tight end on that play.
And let's
So
take
we'll
a look
see.
and see if we can maybe get a look on the back of his jersey. We've actually got 2 number 6s for the East. And yeah, that was looking down there at the camera view, it looked like it was number 6, DeWade Black. We'll double check that here in just a second. Yep, Dwayne Black with that interception. So nice job done by him. And both teams, Sheldon, have really struggled turning the ball over in the game.
A play like that was thrown to the tight end, I mean, I remember being taught that in school. If the ball's in the air, you really can't just wait for it. You kind of have to go, well, not kind of, you got to go back and fight for it. So the tight end on that decision, on that play, just let the ball come down and didn't really fight for it.
The East trying to get some room, working out from inside their own 5-yard line, and the handoff on first down to Cameron Young, who does get out, but just barely. Gained maybe a yard. It'll be second down.
It looks like the defense for the West is trying to find their footing, and they're making good plays. They're being formidable. They're stopping them. They're making the East team turn the ball over, or they're making them kick it, do special teams and kicking the ball back to them. Now we need the West team offense to get it together and establish something.
Coming under center, Sean Sims headed to Navy. Going to hand off here on second down, not much. Coming off the edge to make the tackle was Jacob Zilmer, number 54 for the West. And it's going to be third down and long, a chance for the West defense to get off the field here. And we're going to send it downstairs right now to Mercedes Owens.
Hey guys, so I got TJ McDaniel down here, headed to SMU, my alma mater. How excited are you for that opportunity?
I'm super excited. It's going to be a cool experience, and just walking around the campus and being around some of those guys. I'm excited to spend the rest my 4 years with them in college.
And it's not far from home, right? So you'll be able to you'll have a big fan cheering section.
Yep, 40 minutes away. So my parents were excited, my family was excited. To not go far away like my other 2 brothers, I think. All my family's excited just to come to my games, pretty much every single game. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, but before we get there, we got to take care of business here. What's going on? What has to change in this fourth quarter?
Right now we need to execute up front. We haven't done a great job at executing on offense. Our defense is doing great. They're busting their tail to back us up, and we just got to fix our side on offense.
It is an all-American game, though, so there's a lot of talent out there, and it can go either way when you guys meet up just a couple days before and only have a few hours of practice.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit difficult because we only got 2 days of practice, and we get a whole bunch of plays hammered at us, and we got to study. So that's what we focused on these past 2 days, is just studying, getting in our playbook, knowing the plays, so we can come out here and execute.
All right, TJ. Well, thanks so much for talking with us. Good luck at SMU. Thanks, guys.
All right, Mercedes, TJ McDaniel. Running back, Southlake Carroll Dragons headed to SMU. Here's third down and 9. Sean Sims going to air it out. Has a man open. Diving catch
Nice
at
play.
the 40-yard line.
Nice play.
That's well done right there. Brandon Peace, wide receiver, Granville Central High School, North Carolina. And he just came up with the catch of the game. What a throw by Sims as he aired it out deep on a third down and 8. Sheldon, they were in the shadow of their own end zone. Now with some breathing room and a chance to get this going down the field. First down at their 40.
Now what do? Do you continue to throw the ball like that, give those guys a chance to be seen, showcase some talent, or do you kill the clock and get this game won?
I think you've got to continue to play the game like it's not the fourth quarter. You got 11 minutes left. Give this quarterback an opportunity to throw it. Instead, they're going to hand off. Cameron Young is going to be spun down just across the 40. Gain of 2.
He's a real good and elusive little running back, that Cameron Young.
Yeah, Mill Valley, Kansas. 5'10", 190, but That's a pretty good size for a running back, especially a guy that can be shifty in space, like Cameron Young has shown the ability to be. We got about 10 and a half minutes left in this blue-gray All-American Bowl. The West trailing big in this one. The East has been in control since the very beginning. They scored 2 touchdowns in the first 5 minutes. And before this snap, another false start penalty here against the offense. You know, it's one of those things as a coach in a game like this, you can't get
upset
very
about
frustrated.
No.
You can get a little frustrated, but you can't get overly frustrated at
No.
a play like that, because to these players' credit, you've got 6 hours of practice time. And, you know, you mentioned this earlier, but these kids are coming from all over the place. You don't know what kind of system they've run. They might not have even ever run a spread before.
Right. That was one of the first questions I asked when I took over the offensive lineman. How many of you guys are used to putting your hands on the ground? And I was surprised there was like maybe 3 or 4 kids that they run offenses that never put their hands on the ground. It's like, oh.
Now, we saw that in Tampa also. You know, a couple of the offensive linemen had never pass protected before. Their schools don't pass the ball. They just run block.
Right.
And so that was sort of a new experience for them, learning how to pass protect. And obviously they knew a little bit about the technique, but it's not something that they were comfortable with or accustomed to. And so there's a big learning curve. It's almost like drinking from a fire hydrant over this course of 3 days, trying to get ready for this game.
I like that.
Sean Sims back to throw, hit as he throws across the middle, incomplete. And that was 3rd down and 10, so you're looking at 4th down now, and the East is going to punt.
Drinking water from a fire hydrant. I like that one, Ryan.
I made that up. No one's ever heard that statement before.
Until now.
No, I'm just joking. I think that one's been around a little bit. But
yeah, some of the kids were shocked, you know, that I could do the pass protection technique. They're like, how in the world you know how to do that? I said, well, you go to Nebraska, you learn how to do that. You play tight end in Nebraska, you learn how to pass protect.
Here's the punt by Noah Grant. That's his best of the day, and a chance for a return. Hitting the sidelines, McDaniel, 30. And finally knocked out of bounds. TJ McDaniel gets the West a little burst here up to the 35-yard line, about a 23-yard return for the West. And TJ McDaniel, and here comes their offense, trying to get something going here. Their only touchdown of the game was a 51-yard pass from Nicholas McCarthy to Tyson Booz back in the 2nd quarter.
That's a name we haven't said yet in the 2nd half.
Yeah, they have not really targeted him again since he made that play out of Jefferson High School in Oregon.
We got TQ down here at the bottom, and we'll see.
He's going to be in single coverage against Kirk Wilson. Nate Hayden, the quarterback, will hand off on 1st down. And a penalty flag flies in as the tackle was being made. Seth Davis got the carry. Gained very little, and let's see what the penalty flag is about. Well, the referee has yet to make the indication. There it is against the West.
But what was the penalty? You couldn't see. Was it face masking or illegal hands?
Yeah, I wasn't able to tell. They're obviously going over towards the fans, not over towards us. And looks like a 5-yard penalty. So against the West, it'll be 1st down and 15. 8:40 to play here in the 4th quarter. And now a new quarterback is in, Keegan Shoemaker. And he's going to throw deep down the near sideline, looking for TQ Jackson out of bounds. Led the receiver too far, and the good coverage provided by Kirk Wilson. So 2nd down and 15 coming up. And Shoemaker, of the 3 quarterbacks for the West, probably has the best arm. McCarthy has shown great accuracy, but not necessarily the ability to attack down the field, save for the one throw that he was able to make to Booz for the touchdown.
Right.
They're going to hurry an offensive lineman, Emmanuel Levine, who you mentioned earlier, off the field. And go with 2 running backs and a tight end with his hand on the ground to the right of the formation. 2nd and 15, handoff. And lowering his shoulder as he turns the corner up to the 35-yard line is the ball carrier, Justin Knudsen, out of Penny High School in Missouri. 5'8", 200 pounds. Third down and about 11 coming up after a gain of 4.
8 minutes left in the game. They got to get the ball down the field. They got to score right now. They can't, they're killing too much time. The clock is running. They got to score immediately. If they're really trying to win, they got to score now.
TQ Jackson will be in single coverage to the bottom of your screen against Kirk Wilson. Third down and 11. Shoemaker back to throw. Pressure up the middle. Penalty flag flies. Man open downfield. Incomplete. Shoemaker overshoots Noah Smith, the running back, the intended target. And we'll wait and see what the penalty is. But
I know what it is.
It'll be holding.
Yes, it is.
I think we're up to 2 holding calls.
2 holding calls.
And so they'll probably decline that. So it'll be 4th down for the West, and they'll have to punt. 4th down and 11 deep in their own end.
So back down to 1 holding call. This is they tried to take a chance down the field, but they were unsuccessful. So the East is clearly in the driving seat for this game. With 7 minutes and 43 seconds left in the game, they can literally run the clock out if they play this right.
This is Elijah Perez's best effort of the game. This is going to go over the head of Jimmy Pitts, who now comes back and takes it on a hop, but he called for a fair catch. And so he's going to be down where he fielded it back at the 24-yard line.
Yeah. He thought because the ball hit the ground that it was the fair catch was null and void.
Wouldn't that be a world?
Boy, just pick it up and run.
So the East will start with it at the 24-yard line. 7:30 left in the game. Ryan Castle, Sheldon Jackson here at AT&T Stadium alongside our entire Impact Football Network crew for the 4th and final Blue-Gray All-American Bowl here for the class of 2019. And our second one here in the Metroplex at AT&T Stadium. Velton Gardner back in the game at quarterback. He'll hand it to Julius Elders on first down, and Elders will cross the 25-yard line. Be brought down at about the 27, 2nd down coming up.
I think I know what they're getting ready to do here. Run to the right, run to the left. Run to the right, run to the left. They're going to kill this clock. They have no reason to throw the ball anymore. They have to get some first downs, but they're going to make Coach McMillan use those timeouts.
Gardner in the shotgun. Elders is to his left. Caleb Gerber to his right, and pressure comes. Pass into the left flat, a little screen pass, incomplete. Elders was hit immediately by Riley Tucker. And if the West was maybe a little closer in this game and Trey Vival didn't have 2 interceptions, I think Riley Tucker would have his name in the pot for defensive MVP. He's had a great game. Riley Tucker out of Desert Mountain High School in Arizona. Playing for fellow Arizonian George Martinez, who's the defensive coordinator. 3rd down and about 8 here for the East. Gardner takes the snap, goes back to throw. Screen pass left, caught. And not much running room here for Gavin. Julian Cavin with the catch. Providence Academy in Minnesota. It was cold walking into the stadium this morning, Sheldon, but I don't think not nearly as cold as what they're experiencing up in Minnesota right now.
Oh, what is the temperature in Minnesota currently?
I don't know exactly, but I know that in Chicago, I read this, the high temperature the other day in Chicago, -8 degrees. That's the high temperature.
Yeah, that's familiar. I remember those days.
Here's the punt by the East. Noah Grant with a low line drive effort. McDaniel over to get in front of it. It'll go out of bounds around the 32-yard line, and that's where the West will start.
See, they killed, Ryan, I think they only killed about a minute and 40 seconds of that last drive. With those screen plays they threw, it stops the clock. Now you give the ball to the West, who's still kind of sputtering offensively, but if this was a closer game, you give the team that's down the ball with 6 minutes left to go, and they only got to go about, what, 60, 70 yards for a touchdown. So we should be killing the clock, run the ball out.
Well, touchdowns have been hard to come by in this second half. Nobody has one.
Right.
Shoemaker back to throw, quick out to the right. Look at the zip on that ball. Got it to the receiver in a hurry, and the catch is made for a first down across the 40 by none other than Tyson Booz, who had the touchdown catch earlier. So Shoemaker from Prosper High School right here in the Metroplex. That's a suburb to the north. Is headed to Lafayette College. That's in the Patriot League FCS program. Shoemaker back to throw, dumps it off into the right flats, but it's tipped and incomplete. Nice play made defensively at the line.
Jalen Canty with his hands up with the deflection on that one. Village Christian Academy High School in North Carolina.
So second down and 10 here for the West. And Sheldon, you've been calling for it, but they've got to attack down the field if they are interested in getting back in this game. And
clearly,
knowing Coach Mack the way I know him, I know they're interested in doing that, certainly.
At least test the safety, just a little bit.
Shoemaker in the gun, back to throw, clean pocket, downfield across the middle, ball's caught.
All right.
Short of the 45-yard line, but very close to a first down. Looks like he has enough. And the West will move the chains, and that'll give us the opportunity to go downstairs to Mercedes Owens.
Hey guys, yep, I'm joined by Kobe Gross, joining us from California, a little bit different here in Texas, that's for sure. Now, you were part of the combine process, so talk about going from the combine and then now playing in the game today.
The combine, it was fun. It was a little bit different because I never lifted in a combine before. It was normally just a power ball toss. But there was a lot of good competition out there in the Bay Area. I played against a lot of people, like from high school, and it was fun to go against them again in a combine setting. So it was just fun.
And then to continue on in the blue-gray process and be here today, again, playing with a bunch of people that you don't know, coming into this experience. What has been your favorite part, or what are you going to take away from this?
My favorite part is just playing against a lot of people from across the country, and maybe I could play against some on the next level also. But it's just a lot of good competition out here.
And you haven't yet made your decision what you're going to do in the fall. So what's your schedule like leading up to graduation, and then where are you looking?
Right now, I'm looking. There's a lot of Big 12 schools interested in me, and Pac-12 over in the Bay Area, like Cal and all them in the Pac-12. But I just need to get my credits up right now, and then so I might be looking at a prep school or junior college right now.
Okay, very cool. Well, Kobe, we're going to watch out for you, and maybe after this Texas weather, you're going to be saying, I'm staying close to home for sure. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Mercedes. Pittsburgh, California product. Kobe Gross, big tight end, big target. And being looked at by several Big 12 schools, as he mentioned, has an offer from Baylor, visited TCU here recently. And there's a completion for a first down for the West. So they're moving the ball well here. 4:12 left. Might be too little too late, down by 19.
They definitely moving the ball. The defense is backing off, and they're not necessarily playing a prevent, but they're definitely playing a bend a little, don't break at all style of defense.
Shoemaker across the middle looking for Booz, who is unable to come up with it, looking back behind him for a penalty flag. Thought he might have been held on to. It'll be 2nd and 10.
They're going to allow the short routes. They're going to allow the 5-yard hitches. They're going to allow the slants even. But they're not going to allow your deep hooks or your posts or your fades, because that's going to get them closer to the end zone. So I would look to see more passes completed in the middle, but nothing down the field.
Shoemaker again in the pistol. It's the offense that he operated out of at Prosper High School. Across the middle, intercepted. The linebacker stepping in front to make the interception for the East, and that is Braden Schaefer from Connorsville High School in Indiana. Great athletic play by him to reach back and make the interception.
All right, now Ryan, with 3 minutes and 49 seconds left in the fourth quarter, what do you do?
Well, if it were a game that, obviously winning it had a little bit more, let's say, benefit to it than this game. I run the ball. But in a game like this, I wouldn't mind seeing the quarterbacks continue to air it out, give everybody the opportunity to maybe catch a pass.
Okay. That's a good point, too.
Under center, the quarterback Johnston will hand off coming left up the middle. Robinson Jenkins on the carry. And is going to gain half of a yard up to the 20. 3:38 and counting to play in the fourth quarter. And Grant Johnston, who has been solid in this game, 6'4", 215. He's got the quarterback build to him out of Blacksburg High School in Virginia, so you got some good competition up in Virginia. He'll come under center here in an eye right, and he's going to pitch it to Jenkins, and now a little end around, and this is not going to go well for the East. It ends up in the hands of Kamari Anderson-Drew, and Drew is going to be slung down for a loss. And that's part of the execution aspect that we talked about earlier. Not a bad play design, but just not executed, and so a big loss here for the East.
Yeah, I know both clubs, or both sides, not clubs, both sides have a few trick plays up their sleeves, just for the, for the appeal, because you got to have them. It's an all-star game. You want to do something a little for the fans, if you will. We haven't seen the West attempt, but as far as the East is concerned, I think that's what they have, kind of a double reverse action.
So now 3rd down and 17 to go. And Johnson is under center, 10 on the play clock, waiting for a few more seconds to come off. Will now snap it, hand it off, and a nice spin move right at the point of attack by Robinson Jenkins. Somebody was bearing down on him nearly immediately on the defensive line for the West, and Robinson Jenkins able to gain a couple of positive yards, make it a 4th down and about 15. So a gain of 1, and timeout is called here by the West to stop the clock with 1:58 remaining in the ball game.
Deontay Washington was the defensive end that made the tackle on that play. When he got up, he kind of got up favoring his right leg a little bit. So I hope he's okay.
So 2 minutes remaining in the class of 2019 Blue-Gray All-American Bowl season. As we mentioned to you earlier, the work is not done here. All-American combines will start sprouting up all over the country. You can visit bluegrayfootball.com to find the one nearest you. And then more Blue-Gray football for you next year. Probably right back here at AT&T Stadium at least once. We hope you can join us for all of that. Right here on the Impact Football Network and also on ESPN3. Out of the timeout, the East will punt. This will be Noah Grant, who's put in a nice day punting out of Briarcrest Christian in Tennessee. TJ McDaniel back to return the punt. And this is going to bounce off to his left. He won't have a chance to get to this and return it. And it will be downed at the West 42-yard line. 1:45 left in the game. The only scoring in this second half, a field goal by Tristan Vandenberg. And remember, his first attempt on that was blocked. So that score really has some shroud to it. But give a lot of credit to the defenses here in this second half. We've seen a lot of takeaways, very nice plays made defensively via interceptions. And for the most part, the defenses have played very well here today.
Right. You can't look at the score and think that the game itself doesn't really resemble what the score shows. So defensively, this is a much better game and much better competition in the second half.
Nate Hayden firing deep down the right sideline, had a man incomplete though, overshooting TQ Jackson, who had run free from the defender Kirk Wilson. Those two have been going at it for most of the second half, but the incompletion will bring up 2nd down and 10. If you take away the first 5 minutes of this game, we're looking at a 13-7 ball game.
Right.
And that's sort of been the predominant outcome of most of these games, are low-scoring affairs. There's a nice hit off the edge. Hayden goes down, and that is B.J. Scarlett again. We've called his name several times today.
Yeah.
The defensive end out of Flower Mound, Texas, with another sack. And timeout going to be called here by the West to stop the clock with 1:29, but they're going to be looking at 3rd down and very long to try to convert after this timeout.
B.J. Scarlett just pretty much dominated on that play. He was being double teamed during the process. I made a point to watch him, and they just didn't have enough for him. So great job on this side. When you have a double team, there's no way that one person should be able to break through a double team. But in that case, B.J. Scarlett is not just a normal person.
Being looked at by Rice, by SMU, and I would imagine by many, many more after his performance here today. Of course, National Signing Day is coming up, the first Wednesday in February. There was already the early signing period back in December. So a lot of these Division I programs may be only down to a spot or two left in their 2019 classes, but 1 or 2 spots could go to somebody very deserving in this game. Here's a deep pass intercepted. Kirk Wilson, who has played a marvelous second half guarding TQ Jackson with a pick. Here's his return with some good blocks out in front. He's going to angle to the sideline and go out of bounds. Kirk Wilson with the interception for the East.
And that's usually the time when you're going to get a lot of decapitation blocks going on. Offensive players not realizing that the ball's been turned over, the ball's still in play, so they're kind of casually looking for the ball carrier, and by the time you find them, there's going to be somebody else, one of his teammates, putting their shoulder pads and helmets in your face and knocking you to the ground. So that's one of the most dangerous times in football, when you have an interception like that and you go from offense to defense just like that, and you're not sure where the ball carrier is, and while you're looking for him, you find a good piece of turf.
So Kirk Wilson, 5'11", 170 out of Norristown Area High School, Pennsylvania. He's had a great second half. It's basically been him on an island against TQ Jackson, who has only 1 catch in the game. Here's a handoff. Cameron Young running free around the left end. Will cross the 40, get inside the 35 to about the 33-yard line. Gain of 13 there for Cameron Young, the running back out of Kansas.
Can we say game presence? He has the state of mind to know not to get out of bounds and stay in bounds to continue the clock from running. That was really good.
So under a minute now, the East is going to just milk away this win for George Teague. This will be his second all-time against his nemesis Mark McMillan. Hand off to Elders, and Elders will get some running room into the second level, get close to the 25-yard line, and that may have just been the final snap of the game. George Teague, the head coach of the East, very pleased with his team's performance here today, no doubt. Seneca Wallace, his first time coaching with Blue-Gray football, I believe, and it was successful for him as well. And that's going to do it here at AT&T Stadium. The final today, the East 26 and the West 7. Final thoughts from this one?
Well, it kind of played out a little differently than I expected. I was happy to see the kids get out there and see as many kids that got a chance to play. That was always a good thing to see. Just happy that no one got hurt. The one young man that did go down earlier in the game was able to come back and play again. So that, I know not only was he happy, but his parents were happy. And I'm just happy to see that the kids had fun.
So a great showing out here from both sides. George Teague's East team defeating Mark McMillan's West, 26-7 the final here at AT&T Stadium. This has been a presentation of the Impact Football Network. For Sheldon Jackson and the entire crew, I'm Ryan Castle. So long from Arlington, Texas.